that 20-man break of Berzerkers with Karn that did so much work. Karn by himself is great, but like the amount of volume that like Karn gives to a 20-man brick of Berserker. In my last two games, I pretty much just auto locked sustains and lethals the whole time. You're gonna kill something, and then you can take fight on death. So when it's your turn to die, it's like okay, like come on in and
Yeah, I mean, and that unit kills God. Like that 20 Berserkers with sustained lethals, reroll ones to hit and wound, plus one
well,
AP
I
from a
mean
strat. Like, there's nothing in the game that unit
when
doesn't
we get
blend.
when we get into it, I'll tell you what my fourth game was, and
Okay. Yes.
they were
I
actually
like
the
that.
MVP of that game, not
I
the Mauler
like that.
Fiends. It was Karn and the Brick. Yeah.
I like that. And now people are going to have to stick around until turn 4 in this video. They're not gonna, because they're
That
going to
was
be
the
like,
plan.
well,
We
something
planned that.
spicy happened. I might even clip that bit, chuck it at the front of the video. G'day guys, today I was joined by Ryan Brown, who's just won first place at the Boise GT, an absolutely ripper conversation about the World Eaters. We talk about his use of the 20-man Khorne Berserker unit led by Khan, as well as Mauler Fiends. We talk about matchups into Imperial Knights, and a ton of other really exciting tactics and strategies that he used during the event to get this fantastic result. And then we have a nice, long, broad conversation about World Eaters in general, Teams 40k. We talk about the Challenger cards. We talk about all kinds of different 40k related stuff towards the end as well. So, hope you guys enjoy this conversation. Let's get stuck into it.
Look for the Blood God.
Alrighty, Ryan. G'day. Welcome back to the channel. Congratulations on your recent success at the Boise Cup. First place.
Thank
It's
you
an
very much.
awesome result.
Yeah, it's my first. It's actually my first win of a GT. I have not won a GT before. I've come close many times. I mean, I've only been playing competitively for. I mean, I've only been playing the game for the last 3.5 years. But, I've won one RT, and then I've come close. Yeah, I mean, I've I've come fourth or fifth in a few GTs in like the last couple of years, but I thought I was still a few years away from actually winning a GT. So that kind of caught me by surprise. Where even on my last day, where I was just like, I'm just gonna play 40k today, and kind of know what's gonna happen here, but we're just gonna play the game. And so I was, and I played actually 3 out of my 5 games were against very dear friends of mine. They're actually on my team. I mean, I'm on a couple teams. I'm on a teams team, and then I just have like my guys team. And so one of the guys was on the singles, dad team, and then the other 2 guys were on the pro tabletop team that I play on teams with. So like I kind of crawled through glass to get to the top of this thing.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
always one of
was
those things where when you play your mates, like they want to win, you want to win,
yeah
you're both going at each other, and you both know each
yeah
other's strengths and weaknesses, so you're
yeah.
going in hard and you're not going to give up because there's bragging rights on the line as well. You know that you're going to be able to mock each other afterwards. So,
No, I
but
mean literally the second guy I played was the guy that I like we bounced lists off of each other. Like I
yeah,
was agonizing over, do I bring Angron to this thing because of knights? And we both kind of like came to the conclusion like no, like you need to have a list that's like better for the just the meta in general, and you
yeah.
can't just skew completely into Angron, especially on the terrain that we played on. So he already knew my game plan, so it was like we went into each other and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
um and then the last 2 guys, it's like I've played plenty of times before, and they've beat me almost. I mean, my friend Adam has beaten me every time, and my friend Damien, I think I've only beaten him one time before, but I hadn't beaten him before on his Emperor's Children. So I was like,
Yeah,
I
well,
kind of like went into
awesome
it, go,
results on the GT
yeah,
win. Next step, major event, yeah?
yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah, I don't. We'll see about that. I don't know. That's the one I might be now a few years out from. But
Nah, I believe in
I
you,
don't
mate.
know.
All
Thank you,
right,
buddy.
so do you want to maybe just tell us a little bit about the event for those who don't know what the Boise Cup is, like size, format,
Yeah,
that sort of stuff?
yeah. It's our annual GT. There was 76 players, so 5 rounds, 3 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Um, just normal fixed GW terrain. We did layout 1 pretty much the entire first day, and then layout 2 the second day. And it was just, just a normal strengths of schedule as you go up, and then, just pairings as you'd expect at one of these things.
How many
No,
players total did you say it was?
76.
76. Oh, yeah. So it's a
Yeah.
decent sized event. That's not small.
Yeah, no, I mean I think we can get a little bit bigger than that, because I think we actually have had bigger GTs before in the past, but this year I think they had more Age of Sigmar players. I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
I mean, when I go down to like the Utah ones, I know there's like around, over 100 and stuff like that. So we can get there, because Boise's like really like exploding, and like I've said this before, but like we're a Shark Tank. Like our meta is like extremely strong. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of competition there. So like people come from like Wyoming, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and stuff. So it's cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the things to factor in, right? Like, it's not just the size of the event, it's the caliber
Right.
of the players at the event. We actually have an annual event down here in Australia called the Mensa Masquerade, where basically, like, the top-ranked players from every state get together,
Yeah.
and we'll have a GT, but it's like 30 players. It's
Mhm.
like small, but every single one of those players is an absolute monster on the table, and it's like
Yeah.
every game feels like one of those top table, like it feels like the final round of a GT, but it's the
Yeah.
first round, and then the second round feels like that, and then the third round feels like that, and you're like, this is intense.
I didn't have a single, like every single one of my game was just an absolute ball buster. Like
Yeah.
every single one. Like my first game, I mean, was probably the only one that I'd say that like I kind of knew, like kind of going in, like I might have this one. I never walk up to a table and say like I'm gonna crush this guy, because I
Yeah.
don't, if I don't know who you are, then I have no clue. But most of the like, once you get like the second game was my buddy, and I was like, I know this game's gonna be tough. And then obviously now I'm 2-0 going into the third game, and then going into my last game, I'm just like, this is like hard mode engaged. So
Yeah.
like so,
Yeah, well, that sounds good, and I look forward to breaking each one of these games down.
Yeah.
Before we
Yeah.
do, though, do you want to maybe just run us through your list? Just a brief overview
Yeah.
of what the list is, and then maybe a couple of the decisions that you went through to sort
Sure.
of why you landed on the decisions you did?
Sure. So it's Demon Prince, obviously on foot with the helm.
Yep.
I have Karn, obviously, who's automatic in every list. I had actually two Moes. I had one with the Berserker Glaive, and I had the other one with the Blessings, or Favored. Sorry.
Yep.
And how I did that one was just based on, especially layout 2. The first 3 games. It's like both games you had an expansion objective, right? That was closer to you, which really kind of drove the decision to bring the Demon Prince, because I really, I love the lone op aspect of him. But the problem with this is you have to figure out, okay, like who's going to sit with the Demon Prince to give him lone op. The Mo is kind of like 60 points. You can throw an enhancement on him, so now he's like just a little bit more expensive than Jackals, and I'd rather have a Mo than some Jackals,
Yeah.
especially since a Mo is like really easy, just kind of like hide and tuck in, So that was my decision there. And then Karn was with a 20-man brick of Berzerkers. Pretty much always started him on the board. So if he killed somebody, right? I still have 19 more guys, so it's okay. And then Mo was the other the Mo with the Berserker Glaive was a Rhino with the 10 Berserkers, and they were usually staged somewhere where they could, run out, and more than likely they were going to go after the their expansion objective.
Yep.
And then I had 3 spawn, obviously. I had 2 of the Forge Fiends, and I'm not going to call them the MVPs of the list, but the Mauler Fiends that I added because originally they were Hell Brutes. Mauler Fiends were just phenomenal. Like those things are just insane. You know, they move 12. Yeah, they don't have advance and charge, but the 6 shots from the magma cutters that just absolutely just, you know, demolish like a rhino or, you know, or knights or anything like that. Like they were just nasty. And they punched up, and I needed something because you know, obviously I knew there was going to be knights and some chaos knights, and so I needed something, you know, to go into those. And originally my list had Angron in it, and I was like, you know, I looked at Anthony Vanilla's list for, you know, from WTC, and you know, I was just like, do I bring Angron? Obviously he's seeing some value to it, but then I figured, you know, that's a team's event. He's probably going to get paired into the terrain that he wants, and you know, probably the pairing that he wants. And for me, it's like Angron, I would have had to leave the Demon Prince at home, you know, which I didn't want to do because he's good CP economy and a good lone op just to like expand subjective. So, so that was the reason behind the list.
Yeah. No, I like it, and I think you're right. You made the right call not to include Angron, particularly on the GW layouts. Like, I think in the WTC format, you can sort of select your table to a degree, so you get some agency there, which is going to facilitate things like Angron being a viable option. But in a singles event where you have no control over what table you're going to get, Angron needs table pick more now than ever before because he's so much slower than he used to be. That,
well, and he's still so expensive, and he's not a force multiplier anymore. Like, he has like the worst aura buffs. Like,
well, he's actually a force like divider instead of a multiplier because
if you lose them and you want to bring them back, you're like, do I not take blessings this next round and bring back?
What would I rather, sustained and lethal hits on my whole army or an extra Angron? Right. It's like, I think I would just let him go. I'd just be like, I'd rather him not come back.
100%. But then he dies, and now you're down 385 points to your list too. So it's like, it was just too much of a gamble for me. I just didn't like it, and it didn't feel like. I sat with that list for like a week, and I'm just like, no, like he's got to go. Like I trading him for just that 20-man brick of Berzerkers with Karn that did so much work. Like it was like that unit so good because Karn by himself is great, but like the amount of volume that like Karn gives to a 20-man brick of Berzerkers, they can go into certain things and just rerolling all those hits and wounds. I mean, my last 2 games, I pretty much just auto locked sustains and lethals the whole time, and it was just like that whole unit is a blender, and then more than likely you're gonna kill something, and then you can take fight on death. So when it's, you know, your turn to die, it's like, okay, like come on in, but I still have sustains and lethals, so if you kill something, I'm gonna hit you really hard back. So
I mean, and that unit kills God. Like that 20 Berzerkers with sustained lethals, reroll 1s to hit and wound, +1 AP from the strat. Like there's nothing in the game that unit doesn't blend.
When we get into it, I'll tell you what my 4th game was, and
okay.
They were actually the MVP of that game, not the Mauler Fiends. It was Karn in the brick. Yeah,
I like that. And now people are going to have to stick around until turn 4 in this video. They're not gonna, because they're going to be like, well, something spicy happened. I might even clip that bit, chuck it at the front of the video. Alrighty, awesome.
No, I'm just kidding.
I really, really like that list. I think it's a good blend between, you know, there's some people taking like really heavy on the Berzerkers, there's some people leaning more into the mech, and then there's some people leaning more into the MSU. I think you've done a good job of sort of meeting halfway between all of those things and getting the best out of each one of those playstyles. I really look forward to hearing about that 20-man Berzerker unit though, because that's something that, you know, up until WTC, not many people had considered it. Not many people had ran it at all. And then you start seeing it pop up at WTC, and it's like, is this just because of the terrain choice that you get at WTC and the matchups that you get? But then you sort of think about it, and you're like, well, hang on a minute. That's actually pretty crazy. When you put a 6-inch pylon and consolidate on 20 Berzerkers and you just tag everything, and then you blood surge 8 inches from there and just tag I'm like, yeah, that's a fucking problem. Like, I can see people really not enjoying versing that.
It really is. I mean, it ties up a lot of things. It just takes up a lot of real estate, and your opponent will literally just like, I have to kill this thing, right?
Yeah.
Completely ignoring a lot of the other things on the board, like these 2 Forge Fiends over here, or this Mauler Fiend sitting over here, or this Glaive Mo with his 10-man over here. that's about to do some work too. But they're like, I got to kill. And admittedly, they are right. Like they do have to like deal with this because that thing will just keep going. That'll windmill slam through your army if you let it.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the fact that it also blood surges too, a full 8 inches. Like, I mean, when your opponent like has to counter it, it's like, yeah, it has to shoot it, but it may not have the volume to kill it in shooting. So it's like you have to set up things outside of 9 inches, and you're just and you can just kind of see them like, how do I kill this thing? And you're like, yes.
Yeah. And a 9 inch, essentially a 9 inch aura off of a 20-man unit is a massive area of the board that your opponent's just like, I can't go in that area. That whole area of the board, they cannot enter. Like, that's insane.
So good.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love that thing. It was weird not taking 8-bound. You know, ever since the Codex came out, I've been running 8-bound. You know, because the regular 8-bound are fantastic. Exalted need a rewrite. But like the regular 8-bound like are great, you know, but they're so squishy and they die so fast, and it's like, and you can't give. I mean, the +1 to hit doesn't work on monsters and vehicles, and that's where I need the +1 to hit. And I thought about that, and I'm like, it doesn't matter if I don't take them in my lists, because more than likely I'm putting like my Berzerkers into big things, right? Just so I can volume it out, and I can't. It doesn't. The buff doesn't. So I'd rather have Mauler Fiends than and the Mauler Fiends is so much more durable, and it punches so much higher above its weight that you're just like, it just made more sense.
Yeah, and I mean the 8-bound giving the +1 to hit versus infantry and like mounted whatnot, it's really good, but those units aren't the units that we're particularly worried about in the current meta. You know,
I didn't have a problem killing you. I didn't have a problem killing infantry hitting on 3s. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was the monsters and the vehicles where I was like, I need to kill these things.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't get +1 hit against that, so I'd rather have a Mauler Fiend than an 8-bound, right?
Yeah, yeah, completely agree.
Because the Mauler 8-bound would just fall over to Stiff Breeze as soon as he goes into something, and then does like 6 damage to it, right? And then it just goes, you know.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, let's run through your games then. So, what was your first round opponent and mission, and how'd the game unfold?
I don't remember the missions, Dean. Sorry,
that's all good.
We're
world eaters. We largely just want to kill people, right?
That's true. I did take fixed one of them too, and I'll tell you about that one. But I played an Emperor's Children guy first round. You know, he had told me he's, you know, kind of like new to the faction, so, you know, I wasn't a bully to him. I wasn't a jerk, you know. But, you know, that was a fairly, you know, easy game because, you know, the guy that I played in the last game, you know, I'm used to playing his Emperor's Children, so I know exactly what that army does. So when I see Demon Princes with wings, and when I see, you know, I think actually, no, he didn't have any Mauler Fiends. He had just the Noise Marines. I mean, they don't have a very big Codex anyways. So, you know, it was a regular Emperor's Children, you know, list. And I don't think he, you know, he just didn't have enough reps yet to like really kind of counter, you know, what I had. So, you know, that was game one.
I think we're relatively favored in the Emperor's Children matchup because one of their main strengths is that they've got that advance and charge. They're really fast. They can get into combat easily, but it's like, that's exactly where we want you. We want you in combat with us. So it's not that big of a concern for us. The Demon Princes with neg 1 damage are a painful thing for us to kill, but when you've got 20 Berzerkers that all have 1 damage attacks...
I'll be honest, like, usually an Emperor's Children player will, like, they have to throw their Demon Prince, you know, that's the thing that extends and has to go into your furthest thing. And so if I have a Demon Prince that's sitting on my expansion objection, you're trying to remove that, he has the helm, and I can pop a one strat CP for another -1 damage, and all of a sudden his 3 wound attack is down to 1. It's like, he'll get you on some mortals on the charge, but he'll do average 2 damage to you on top of that. And now he's in huge trouble because now it's like, now the Demon Prince gets to swing back, and then the rest of my army gets to deal with your Demon Prince. So
Yeah.
So that's kind of the, it's not that Emperor's Children are kind of like one trick ponies, but like, they only have like a few things in their codex that are like, really good and really killy, and that's just one of them. So I just used to playing that, enough times where I kind of like have an idea. I mean, they're still completely unpredictable, to be honest. Like I can deploy against an Emperor's Children player, and if they're good, I'll still be like, I don't know if this was a good deployment or not, because I don't. You're still gonna kind of like Tokyo drift around a corner, like a couple units of Noise Marines, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't see that 20-inch advance you did there, and still dismounted and shot me from behind my my home objective terrain. So I guess I should have screened that. But no, but that was game one. Game two was against my friend Hunter, who's a phenomenal player. Like, I mean, he's another one of the guys that easily in this tournament. He's actually gone, pretty much. He was in my position, but I think fell short, with points where he should have probably have won, and just didn't based on points. So he's that good of a player. And I helped him with his list. Actually, he was borrowing my Havoc and my Havocs and Rhinos. He was playing a Bile list with, the 20 possessed. He runs with the Master Possession, obviously the Chaos Lord with the Prime Test Subject with the Legionnaires. But I'd pretty much turned him on to the the 3 Havocs coming out of Rhinos. Because if you roll 6 on your buff, now you have ballistic skill 2, like, and then he did it on me. I was clenched. Like, there was one part of the game where like he brought both of his Havocs around, and he was like staring down like my Mo, who was standing there like kind of trying to hide behind a footprint with the Demon Prince, and he was going to kill the Mo, and then the other squad was going to be able to kill the Demon Prince, and I basically had to like rapid ingress my Mauler Fiend like right in front of them, and was like, please shoot this instead. Please don't shoot my Demon Prince.
The old sacrificial rapid ingress. I love
it. Yeah, and he still killed the demon. He still killed the Mo, which is smart. But then the other squad shot the Mauler Fiend. It took some wounds, and that thing on my turn limped in with like, because he overwatched it too, with like 1 wound. It was like carrying its arm in one hand, and it was just like spark shooting out the other end. It was just like it went in, and I think it killed, and then I consolidated, but that thing had like 1 wound, and it was like it was getting punched by the Havocs, and I'm like, please don't kill them all. Please don't kill them all. And it lived, thank God.
You seen Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
You remember the scene in that where they've got one in containment and they shoot the thing, and they're like, even when it's nearly dead, it's still 80% combat effective, and it's like, rah! It's like, that's the Mauler Fiend. It's like nearly dead, but it's still 80% combat effective.
And he was like so pissed. He was like, why is this thing not dead? And I'm like, I'm just going like, please don't die, like, please. And it saved my flank, because it was able to like sit there, and then he had to bring in some possessed to deal with it. It was a really good game. I mean, like, we've played each other enough times because he's on my team, and we play each other a lot. He's a good buddy of mine. So like we know our game style and stuff, and so it gets pretty like, contentious and and heated, and it's it's all love, but at the same time too, it's like, it's 40K against one of your buddies that you know how to play against each other. So it was a good game. But I was able to secure it. My list was still pretty good. So I mean, it's still fast enough to where the spawn are just, even without advance and charge army wide, it's like your spawn and your berserkers can still advance and charge. So it's like, and they're faster now too. So it's like you can still get stuff off the line or from behind a ruin and still touch things, and it's I mean it's gross.
Yeah, and the fact that
Um,
you can get advance and charge on Berserkers and you have it on the spawn without needing to
yeah,
like pray for a good blessings roll, you can just have it if you want it for a CP.
yeah.
I would argue that that's even better.
I'll be honest. I don't know if the spawn needed advance and charge.
No, they could
I,
take that away and they would still be way
I
too
don't know if
good.
they did because I had a few games where it was like scout 8, move 10, and I roll my advance roll, and I'm like, oh, that's a 6,
Yeah,
and now I'm in your deployment zone because those
yeah,
things just like I mean that's an insane amount of movement, and then they hit really freaking hard too,
yeah.
and they have a 5-up feeling of pain, so it's like you have to like
They're
I mean
stupidly tough as well. Like for the
it's
points
it, oh
costs, yeah,
it's so obnoxious. And I tell my opponent too, like without you know, it's not hyperbolic where I'm like these spawn are really fast and they're really obnoxious. You're gonna hate them. Like they'll hit you
yeah.
really hard and like and they're hard to kill. And then they don't believe me. And then
They're
turn
pretty they're
turn
pretty
three, I
close
still
to the
got one.
perfect unit. They're pretty close. Like they're
I
fast,
think they're
they're
the best.
tough,
They're the
they
best
hit
trading
hard.
unit in the game.
Yeah. The only
For
thing
80
they don't
points,
have is OC. That's the only thing that's their weakness. Is that
sure.
if you've got a rhino sitting on an objective, they
Yeah.
can't out OC it, and they probably
Yeah.
won't kill a rhino. So like
Yeah.
that's something that they can't solve. But pretty much everything
Right.
else, they just go in and just go kill a bunch of stuff, and yeah.
Yep. I agree with you. I mean, although they do tend to kill the things with the OC, so
That's
that's
true.
the one thing that they can do to like kind of
Yeah.
offset the. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I've kind of wanted to put goremongers in my list for a while there, but I'm just like, I'd rather have the spawn.
Yeah.
I mean, the goremongers are fine, but like they're squishy, and they're just not as good as spawn.
Yeah.
Spawn, I can like I can just let them. They're my fire and forget idiots that like will screen or just send off into their trash or their screens and just go
Yeah,
on.
yeah. The goremongers, you only ever take them if you've already got 3 units of spawn, and you still have 85 points left over, and you're like, come on, goremongers, get in
Which
there.
we usually don't because our stuff is so overpriced right now. Anyways,
Yeah.
I don't have 85 points for goremongers.
Yeah.
Must be nice, but I don't have it.
Yeah. So that's round 2.
That was round 2. And then round 3, I went into an Ultramarines player who I guess it worked in my favor because he's like, I never have played World Eaters since the Codex. And I'm like, okay. And I ran him through everything. I told him, my Forge Fiends, do this now. It's like we kind of have some shooting.
Mhm.
My Mauler Fiends are fast. My Spawn are fast. I ran through the list. There was no. I run everybody through my stratagems, my enhancements, what each ability is on my guys. I'd probably take more time than I should, but it's like there's a lot of things in the World Eaters right now. You can easily gotcha your opponent. I don't want to do that,
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it was a good game where I had him. Poor guy. I mean, the guy did clock out. He did take a lot of time on his turn. So, that did work to my favor, obviously. But it was just a good heads up game. 40K. I hate playing Ultramarines because they have too much CP, and then they get 2 oath targets with +1 to wound. That you're just like, why do they have this?
Yeah.
They're already good. But yeah, so that was game 3. I mean,
Were there any
wasn't anything
notable moments in there? What did the 20 Berserkers get up to in that game?
He did. So he had Calgar with his Vitrix Guard, and then I think he had Blade Guard with him, I want to say.
Yep.
And he had area denial turn 1. He went first, and he put up one guy to and then all the rest were behind the wall.
Yep.
And I really debated, do I send in, he's close enough to me where my glaive could go in there with the Berserkers, and just kill Khadgar, or Calgar, which would have been amazing. But he had Guilliman close enough to heroic, so I was like, I'm gonna wait, and I've gotten a lot more patient over, as a as a World Eaters player when I first started, I was just like, go 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 go, turn one. Like over time, I'm just like, no, just you know,
Yeah.
patient, because you still got four more rounds after this one. But I like popped out at one Forge Fiend because I started the other one in reserves, and it picked up pretty much the whole Blade Guard squad and one of the Vitrix guards. So it was just Calgar and Vitrix guard left.
Yeah.
And the guy was just like, I didn't know World Eaters had shooting. And I'm like, I did kind of warn you.
Yeah.
I did tell you what these things could do, and it did. And I mean,
Yeah, the
he
big
had, I think,
ectoplasmas on the side of those things, they don't
oh,
punch with them.
no,
That's a gun.
yeah, no, and I did try to tell him too. I was just like, it's three D3 shots with blast with rapid fire within 18. Like, if they roll high and I roll hot, like I'm going to put a lot of volume into you with one shooting unit. It's not anti tank, even though if it's a strength 10 something, it's like I'll still shoot into it, right? But
Yeah,
like,
they'll kill small tanks.
it'll call like rhinos and like
Yeah.
gladiators. It'll punch into those. Math starts getting wonky when obviously you run into like the stupid knights, but
Yeah.
like but like it just, I mean, he didn't save well, but like he lost like most of that like brick, and it just completely defanged him, right?
Yeah,
And so
losing that unit that early in the game is a pretty big problem.
I mean, like, yeah, when he stuck that one guy out there, I'm like, oh, this is, thank you, like this,
Yeah.
because I mean, at that point, like I wasn't really sure like how to shift, you know what I mean, on where to like really apply, and I was like, man, do I slow play this? Because it's like, I got to kill stuff because they can, he had one lancer, and he had two repulsors with hell blasters in them, which were kind of annoying because kind of just like get angles and shoot all the hell blasters out of it and stuff, and the repulsors shoot a lot, so like he could have whittled me down, if I just kind of sat there, but that decision on his part to put, those guys out there and for me just to like just scoop most of it was huge, because then it was like, now I can do whatever I want, right? Now it's like I'm not scared of, you have no more mid presence, and I still have a 20-man brick of Berzerkers and another guy in 10 in the Rhino with the Mo, with the glaive. So that's how that game went.
Yeah.
So that was game 3. And after that game, obviously, there were the last 2 games especially were pretty tough. But I knew just based on like pairing stuff like that I was gonna go into my friend Adam, who I'd played in a practice game a week before, and my list was a little bit different. Didn't have like the full 20-man, and I didn't have the Mauler Fiends. I had I'd actually had a couple Hell Brutes and stuff like that, and I just like he had 3 Lancers, Canis Rex, and 4 Halverin.
Okay.
That's his list. Um, when I played him a week before, I completely bounced off. Like I don't think I killed a single knight in his army.
Yeah.
My Hellbrute did like 6 wounds into him, and he rolled 4 up invul saves, because the Lancers are just giant custodies, and you're just like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do about that? Like I literally put in like my one thing that's supposed to kill knights, and it didn't do it. So
Yeah. Yeah, the Hellbrutes are really good at killing Daka Knights, but they're not great at killing combat ones, because you hit it, you do, however many wounds to it, and then it fights you and kills you. Whereas if it's a Daka Knight, they fight you and they don't kill you, and then you get to fight them again, and that's when you actually bring them down.
Right. Well, and that's when I came home, Angron went into after that, because I'm like, I need something.
I need an answer to the Lancers. Yep.
But then I started to look at the Mauler Fiends, and I saw people taking Mauler Fiends at WTC, and I'm like, and admittedly, my buddy, Damien, who plays Emperor's Children, he has Mauler Fiends, and I'm like, those things are really good. The magma cutters on those things are surprisingly good too. Like they'll punch. Like you don't think about those things, doing the amount of work that they do, but they do. Like they'll pop stuff.
Yeah, I think people disregard them because they're only 6-inch range, but when you think about it, you're probably
Right.
rapid ingressing a Mauler Fiend often. He comes on with a
Well, ours
12-inch
move
move,
12.
so he's very,
Yeah.
very close.
They run right up to you, and they're just like,
yeah. And realistically, it's 6-inch range, but are you really making 7 or 8-inch charges anyway? If you are, you're probably losing the game anyway. So you're probably often going to be within 6 inches of the target anyway. So I sort of look at it as just additional attacks.
Yeah.
Additional melee attacks that are just like
100%.
really, really high value attacks.
And six Melta shots is nothing to like shrug, shrug off. It's like one or two of those is going to go through.
Yeah.
And now it's like if you don't have an invul save, it's an AP4 point blank. It's like that's going through, and now you're just taking D6 plus 2 free wounds. It's like I chunked like 2 rhinos over the weekend that like I just walked up to it, blasted it right, like didn't kill it outright, but it's like you're down to like 4 wounds, and so it's like now it's not hard for my Mauler Fiend to go in. I don't need to tank shock you anymore. I'm just gonna punch you on 2s, and actually wound you now on 2s, and now you're dead.
Yeah, and it also facilitates if you get them low enough. And then I'm hoping I can pull this off at WTC. Is that at the War Masters? Is that you move out, you shoot them, you get the Rhino down to almost dead, you charge it, you tank shock, you kill the Rhino, then the boys inside disembark, and then you 6-inch pile into them and then fight them and kill them. And it's like if a single Mauler Fiend can run through a transport and its occupants, like that's insane. That's insane.
Right. No, it's and they will too. Like they will punch the crap, and then those guys that are stuck in combat with that thing, it's like, they're probably not going to like punch back and kill the Mauler Fiend. Like,
correct.
They're stuck in combat, and they have to like figure out. You need to send something else to go help those dudes. So I played. So I went into my good buddy Adam, and so I went to that game just going like crap. Like this is what I was afraid of. Like I did not build a list specifically for this. Like there were some contingencies in there, like the Mauler Fiends, but like generally speaking, it was not. It was there was no Angron, and so went in. But then I thought about like the whole, what do I have to do in this game, and it was basically like I can't even think about secondaries. Like I have to literally put the kitchen sink into him, and I made the gamble of taking fixed. I took bring it down in assassination, which if you kill all the knights, you score a lot of points. But like I told you, like I didn't kill a single one of them the last time I played them, so it was just kind of like, I hope this works.
Well, I think the calculation would be that if you're not killing any of them, you're losing regardless.
I'm losing anyways, exactly.
If you take fixed or if you take tactical, you're losing anyway if you're not killing them. So
100%.
the game plan has to be take fixed, and then you just have to kill them. You just don't. You can't. There's no other option.
It doesn't matter if you're getting tabled. You're still scoring secondary. Like,
exactly.
Like I need to kill your stuff so that I don't get tabled.
Yeah.
And so I went first against him. Like he pretty much just set up everything on the line as he should, right? Canis was just behind a little thing, but all those idiots can just run through walls over your models. So you're just like, I can't even screen the big guys. So I kind of made a little bit like it was train 1. So I made a little death ball of like, I had my Rhino and I had my 2 Mauler Fiends with the Forge Fiends and the Demon Prince behind it, just kind of like not chargeable, but the Mauler, like I had to push up a little bit, sit in my deployment zone because those knights can move 14 inches.
Yeah.
And I knew that, but it was like, okay, I'll give him long charges, but I just, I set up my spawn along, just along both sides of that wedge, and I'm just like, I'm giving you, not great targets on this one. And I did set up, one of my spawn. I sent one of them up to pretty much kind of block the 2 Halverins that he had sitting there behind the big Lancer on the flank that he was going to basically just, run down my throat. And it didn't stop the Lancer, but it did stop the Halverins from running out there and like basically popping all the stuff and killing my screens and stuff. And so on his turn, he did say, he's like, he did a good job kind of like balling up here. He's like, but, I got to go at you because, now you're positioned to go at me. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm probably not. I'm still not going to just run at you. Even my turn. I might. I don't know where you're going to end up. But not to just YOLO into your army because it's like you're just too tough. So he sent in basically Canis and all 3 Lancers, you know, surrounding my little death ball, and one of his Lancers on the right that was going to go into my spawn in front of the Rhino. He rolled. He had a 5-inch charge, Dean. And he rolled a 3, and he's like, "Well, I got to reroll that," and I'm just going, "Yep." Rolls into a 3, and I'm just like, "Oh no." And I was just like, "Oh God." I'm like, "Adam, I'm so sorry." Like, I mean, as a melee player, it's like I get it.
Yeah,
I
you
get
know
it.
exactly how he feels.
I know. Yes, I know what that means, right?
Yeah.
And by no means was I like, "Oh, I won the game." You failed the. You still have 2 more Lancers and Canis Rex literally staring at me.
Yeah.
And then Canis Rex failed his charge, and he was out of rerolls.
Yeah.
So the only one that was able to go in was one of the Lancers into my right side, and he killed the spawn that were in front of my Rhino on the other side, and then he towed into my Rhino. But I'm like, okay.
Yeah, well,
And
it
then it was my
sounds like
turn.
he's in a lot of trouble now because you're going to be able to activate your entire army and hit him on all fronts.
I literally sent everything. I sent everyone. Like it was all hands on deck. Like my spawn didn't even go in to the Lancers. They basically just ran out and touched Halverins. Basically, they were just like, "You stay put. Like you don't get to shoot anymore. Like stop." But like Karn came out with his 20-man like right through the middle. Like it was pretty like epic. Where like there was 2 Lancers on like both sides, and then Canis over here, and he just ran like right past the 2 Lancers.
Beeline straight
for
Canis.
Straight to Canis. I'm like, I'm going after that guy. He doesn't have an invoice. Kick his ass, right?
Yeah. Khan was just like, which one of these guys is named? I'm going after him.
That guy right there, you idiot, right?
Yeah.
So I put so basically I ran those guys up the middle. I ran out like the Mo and his guys got out, to deal with the guy that failed his charge. Demon Prince came out, right? I had both forged Mauler Fiends came out, right? Everything was out. That one turn, I killed that first night. I killed Canis, and then all the guys didn't get into combat with Canis. Basically, I got a bunch of them in there, and the 2 Mauler Fiends, and then the rest of them kind of just went into the one Lancer that actually did get into combat. So I still had another Lancer over here too. So I'm just like still staring at like this guy's army. I'm just like, this is insane. But he did I think Glaive Mo in the demon Glaive Mo I think got that first night down to like 8 wounds.
Yeah.
Like he just went.
Well, that reroll hits and wounds with dev wounds is a hell of a drug, right?
I just locked lethals and sustained the whole game, right? Because I'm just like, I need every ounce of damage this army has.
Yeah.
And he did work. I even sent in the one Mo that was like with the Demon Prince. Like he went too, because they're all characters. So I'm yeah. I mean, and those Mo's were like insane that game. Like just the amount of dev wounds that they did. I must have done like 30 total dev wounds the whole game against him, because they just kept going. Like they just kept like they'd kill something and then it's just like right into the next thing. And then he did interrupt. He killed one of the Mauler Fiends, which I was like, I knew you were gonna do that, so I had to put 2 Mauler Fiends in there and Karn, because I was like, I was expecting the interrupt. So he did very smart, killed the Mauler Fiend, but then the Mauler Fiend and Karn and the 4 eviscerators all went into him at once, and killed him. It was like insane, because I popped plus 1 AP on Karn's unit. So now it's like he's saving on 6s, and they shredded him. And then I did chunk the other guy, because they had well, it didn't matter because he had the 4-up invul save, but just the volume that I did with just chain swords into that other Lancer that I just went into, because it must have been like, I think I put like 4 eviscerators and probably 4 three or four of like regular chain blades, and everything else went into the other guy.
Yeah.
Just the amount of like wounds that they did, just because Karn was giving them the full rerolls to hit and wound,
Yeah.
like it brought it down to like 12. Like
Yeah.
just with idiots with chain swords, just hitting them with lethals and sustains. Um, and he did say like after that turn, he's like, "I think you got me," and I'm just like, "No, not nah, I don't think so. Like your army is like toxic. Like there's no way that I think like I do that too. I never go like, oh, I got this in the bag. I've had so many games where I've thought that, and I'm just like, and I just get betrayed by my dice or like
Yeah.
whatever happens. I'm just like, I have snatched defeat from the jaws of victory so many times. But I just kept going. And he, obviously his clapback hurt, right? Because he still had the one lancer here, which actually I think I killed it because I had to. He brought in the other lancer and killed off a bunch of my berserkers,
Yep.
But I basically just picked up the ones that weren't in combat anymore with the lancer over here.
Yep. Yep.
So we did kill off a bunch of my berserkers, but then Karn was able to basically pile in to him now. So now I had like the same amount of berserkers on my turn because I was able to fight, after he did his charge stuff. And then they picked up that last night that lancer, and then it was just one lancer left. And then by then I had like the entire glaive Mo unit, the other Mo, the Demon Prince, the Mauler Fiend, and then whatever was left of Karn's,
Yep.
20-man brick, all went into that other lancer, and just like they just pile drived it through the table.
Yeah, I
But
think
like,
that's
yeah,
how Imperial Knight games are going to tend to go. Is that like if you get a bit of momentum, you get on top by killing a couple of knights in one turn, then it's
yeah,
going to blow out in your favor. But if you
it
bounce
really,
off
yeah.
them, it's going to blow out in
Oh
the
yeah,
other direction. Like it's
oh
going to
yeah,
be a
no,
blowout either way.
that's exactly. It's like it's going to go one of two ways. But and then that's why I mean you have if they take enough of those big knights, you just have to go fixed because
Yeah,
that has to be your game. Your game plan has to be I have to kill these things because, like you said, if I'm not killing anything, I don't care if I'm scoring secondaries because I'm about to lose the game anyways. So it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
your win condition has to be I'm going to kill these things and score points by doing that because everything has to go into those big dumb things.
yeah.
So that was that game, and man, that was like I was like my adrenaline was just dumping at that point, and like I went to lunch with the group because he's on my team and we're all friends,
Yeah,
but my buddy Damien, who's like one of my dearest friends, and he's probably one of, if not the best player in Boise. He's the Emperor's Children player. I've played him so many times. He loves playing me because it's like we have good heads up 40K, but like he usually trounces me, right? His army, he's just really good on Emperor's Children. He has like hundreds of reps into them,
yeah,
and it's literally been the same list since like it's two Demon Princes, couple Infractors, Tormentors. Now he has Mauler Fiends in his list because of John Lennon, and then yeah, it's in three Noise Marines with one Cacophonous. I know his list by heart.
yeah,
But so of course paired into him, and it's like we hugged each other, and we're like we're just gonna play. I was very relieved that it was like I was going because I was just like I joked with him. I was like, well, at least I have an out. Like if I lose to you, it's against you. It's like
yeah,
I mean, this is the natural foregone conclusion already. Um, but I mean, I didn't go in with a defeatist attitude, but it was just like I'm just gonna play the way I've been playing, and we'll see what happens. Um, and so I again layout one, which really that second day layout one really helped like my list a lot. Like that was kind of my goal was like I knew the first three games, on day one. Layout two was not. I hate layout two. I hate that stupid slanted, ruin where you can't really stage, because they can always kind of get an
get
angle
around it.
on
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so obnoxious. Like I don't know why GW does that. Like just give us, give me something to hide behind. Don't give me this like stupid slanted thing. Um, and so layout one really helped because I could stage more things, but against him, um, I mean he knew what I was going to do with my demon prince, put him out on the expansion objective, but I knew that he knew that I was going to. So it's like we were deploying, and I saw him putting a Mauler Fiend, demon prince, Lucius, his Rhino with his two noise marines all on that side, and I'm like, I know you're going to come at me. I know you're going to like shut down my expansion objective. I know that's what you're going to do. And so I luckily was able to go first, and I had my three spawn pretty much. One, I had I think I had secure no man's land as my first. So I sent one into the middle to secure that one, um, and then I think I only scored. Yeah, I think I only scored. This is what I did. He had set up all of his stuff on that on like in front, like on the line on his right side to hit my expansion.
Yep.
Um, I had spawn over there. They scouted 8. I rolled a 6 on the advance, and I was able to run by all of his stuff and basically go into his tormentors on his home objective. And then he had some tormentors over on his expansion objective, and I was able to put some spawn over there. But he was close enough to where if I kill them, I can consolidate onto the middle objective. And then I set up a little screen with the third unit of spawn on my expansion objective because I wasn't going to put anything else on there. I wasn't going to like shove my demon
Yep.
prince or anything
Yeah,
like
you don't
that.
want to feed too much to him.
No, not him because he would crush it. And so I put him out there. Yes, I'm going to put something on an objective, but it's also kind of a screen too because he had a demon prince and a Mauler Fiend staring at me. So I'm like, they can all advance and charge.
Yeah.
So the spawn that I killed on his home, the tormentors on his home objective, they killed it and then they consolidated into the Rhino with the two noise marines in it. So now he couldn't fall back and dismount the guys. They would have to dismount there and go. So that was like, when I saw that opportunity, I was like, I'm not gonna noise marines to come out and just crush my, he'd probably be able to pop the Rhino that was right there, and then the Mauler Fiend would have probably been able to like consolidate into it. Because he did send the Mauler Fiend, he did send the Demon Prince. The Demon Prince was able to just kind of fly right by my screen and then go into my Demon Prince, and the Mauler Fiend killed the screen, or his, and then consolidated into my Rhino, and then he brought out his Prince, and one of the unit of infractors, kind of staged, near his expansion over on the right side, but it was pretty close to where Karn and his 20 man were waiting. And so when it was back to my turn, I had to like kind of, shift some stuff. Demon Prince did have to fall back because he took, I think, 6 wounds on the clapback from my Demon Prince. And then, I brought my Jackals over. They threw a grenade at him, and I think that was enough to kill him. And then the Mo and all those guys got out, dealt with the Mauler Fiend. But when Karn came out with all of his, Berzerkers, I charged the Demon Prince, but I rolled an 8, and so I was able to kind of Tokyo drift half of the squad around to the other side and put all the Eviscerators into the 5-man infractor squad, and then I just popped +1 AP on the Demon Prince. So all the chain swords were doing. Now he was saving on his invul save. I think he popped armor contempt, so it still brought down to a 3. But the volume that Karn and just 16 chain swords with lethals and sustains, it's like,
yeah. Well, I mean, 16 chain shields. That's what 80 attacks. Like it's.
I still, Dean, I still didn't know. Like I went into the Demon Prince. I killed the Infractor squad, and I still had some guys left over to like go in to hit a Rhino on his expansion objective to like out OC him. Like it just
you've got
just,
so
like,
many models in that unit. You got spares.
There's so many, and it's it's such a great, like, I mean, if you know how to like steer those, and admittedly he's the one. I mean, like he's the guy that's like pretty much like kind of taught me how to play melee. I mean, I'm a very like when I first moved to Boise 3 years ago, I was on my Temple army and he was playing orcs.
Yeah,
and he just railroaded me, and I was like, I will pay you $100 to teach me how to play this game, please. You know what I mean? And we've had a great, friendship since then. But he's never been like, an arch nemesis. He's always been more of a mentor to me. And so,
Yeah.
it was really like we had a really great game, and um, it was. I was able to run away with it at that point because I was killing enough of his stuff, and it was just I was able to like keep the pressure on. Rapid ingress the Mauler Fiend when he brought the the Noise Marines out to deal with Karn's brick. So it was just a lot. And like my list especially, it's like if they can get enough stuff dead in the first round or second round, they can just start running wild. Because Mauler Fiends are demon engine. It's not like 8-bound they're gonna fall over to a stiff breeze. It's like it's a Mauler Fiend, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you don't have enough stuff to kill the Mauler Fiend. He's gonna come running up to you and like shotgun blast something to his left and then go right into the thing on his right and then just punch it to death. So those things are amazing. But yeah, I never even looked at the score. I never even looked at like, even the pairings or anything like that. Even after like the ninth game, I'm like, I don't want to know. And, we finished the game, I scored 90 points in the game and, and he was like, looking at it and I'm like, how did I do? And he's like, you won. And I'm like, I had to step outside. I was just like, what just happened? Because I literally just played against like 3 of like the top players in Boise, to get there. And I just, at no point was I like, I know like my meta, I know like the guys there. I just know that like, this isn't a free GT. The guys there are like, they know how to play the game.
Yeah.
They've been playing a lot longer than I have. So it's like, and they've beaten me way more times than I've even even come close to beating them. So it was like, for this to happen was just kind of insane. And it was cool that it happened in Boise because, it's where I live. And so it was like, it's pretty, for my first GT win, it was like, it was a big deal for me. And, Damon was incredibly gracious, he gave me a big hug. I know how hard it is to lose a GT, to be there at the final table and to lose, but he said he was like, really happy that it was me and that it was like me being his friend and all that stuff. So
that's one of the beautiful things about 40k is that you do get you've become friendly with the people, especially in your own local area. You become friendly with them.
I love all the guys. They're my brothers. Yeah.
There was a tournament not too long ago where I was playing off for the win. And the guy that I was playing into had never won a GT before, and like I've won a handful over the years, and I've won a bunch of RTTs and a bunch of stuff. So to me, I was like, I don't really care too much if I win, but I'm like, I would actually be happier if he wins this game because it's a huge thing for him.
I think that's how he felt. I'm not gonna say, of course, but he did tell me that. In not so many words, where he was like, he said it was just as good for him to see me, win the whole thing, and I just told him that, like, I'm glad it was you at the end, that, it wasn't just some random guy in some random town, where it's, so it was good. It was, man, I was like, I came home from that thing. I had like, my adrenaline was just going literally like all day Sunday. So like, as soon as that last game was over, it just dumped. And I was just like, all my mates were like, let's go grab a beer. And I'm like, okay, right? I did get, Dean. This was the thing that I got, a big giant chain axe. I really can't see it because like of course my camera is kind of like blurring it out, but it's like a giant, like that was
the trophy, was it?
This was the trophy for winning.
Hell
and I'm like, well, it went to a World Eaters player.
Yeah,
so,
that's so good. I the one of the axe up on the wall over here. That was a trophy that I won at a tournament as well. There's nothing. Yeah. There's no better prize for a World Eaters player than an actual chain axe.
Like, I should have known that when I saw it when I walked in.
When I walked into that event, like literally, I walked in having not known that this is what the prize was going to be, and they did like their announcement at the start of the event where they're like, here's the housekeeping stuff, there's the bathrooms, by the way, here's how the rounds are going to work, and this is the trophy for the winner. And he held it up, and I literally just looked across at everybody else in the room, and I was like, if any of you motherfuckers win, I'm gonna be so pissed. I'm like, that is my axe. I'm going hard.
From your house.
That's
awesome. No, they're giving away like combat patrols for like and people are like, "Oh, do you want a combat patrol?" And I'm like, "Hold on, no, no."
Yeah,
You kidding me?
that's awesome. That's so good.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, that sounds like a bunch of really hard games, really well fought wins.
It
Were
was.
there was there any like was there a particular highlight in the event where something happened and you were like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted to do. That worked exactly how I wanted. Any really interesting trick that you pulled off where you're like, oh yeah, the way I did my pile-ins here was really effective, or anything like that worth sharing?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously don't want to like give credit to like a Forge Fiend for killing a whole bunch of stuff because that's just what they do. But I think, I mean, obviously the last game where I came out with Karn's squad and put enough stuff into. I mean, it's a gamble with dice. It's like sometimes it's hard. Like, how much do I put into this? How much do I leave into this?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm glad I still had brain cells functioning enough to go. I can put Karn and pretty much most of the chain swords into the Demon Prince, right? Because I'm going to drown it in volume, and then just put all the eviscerators into the just the squishy infractor squad, and just pop +1 AP, and then they just
Yeah.
everything just blended the way it needed to. And so killed the Demon Prince, killed the whole squad of infractors, and I think I still, because I had popped +1 AP with lethals and sustains, I actually did like a pretty good amount of damage to. I think I might have killed the Rhino, Dean. I think I might have actually killed all 3 units with that one brick of guys.
Well, one of the really cool things about that unit also is that it's actually got quite a broad range of damage profiles. Like, you've got the 1 damage, you've got the 2 damage, and you've got the 3 damage from Karn. So you can send it out and you can hit 3 different targets and actually have a really good profile into all 3 of them. Whereas normally with a big unit, they're all the same profile. So it's like, I can send it out. It's going to do really well into those infantry, but not well into those vehicles. Or it's going to do really well into that Demon Prince, but not well into the infractors. But Karn's unit, because it's got that diversity within its damage output, it actually can hit multiple targets and just be like optimized into each one. You put your 2 damage guys into the 2 wound models. You put your 1 damage guys into the guy who's got -1 damage, so you don't really care there. Yeah, it's such a cool unit.
If you pick the right blessings, and obviously you got your +1 AP strat. I was debating, like, do I put, like, I have a 20-man brick of Berzerkers. Do I put a Lord on Juggernaut in this list? And that would be cool because 10 and they have a bigger like pile-in range. But like Karn by far, like, and people ask me like, do you care if Karn's in the unit because he might kill a guy? And I'm like, no. Like,
did Karn kill many guys throughout the course of the event?
He killed 2.
I was gonna say my experience with it has been that I've never had him kill someone in the all the time. I mean, granted, a lot of what I've been doing is having him in the Rhino, but like, he comes out, he kills some stuff, then he piles into some other stuff, and it's like he's usually in combat, so it's not that big of a deal. And when he's not in combat, he still is likely to pass that leadership check anyway. So he very rarely kills things in my experience.
No, 100%. And what's funny is, I mean, I think with a 10-man squad, I'm a little bit more like, I don't really want to. I don't want to lose a guy unnecessarily. That's kind of stupid. But like, when you have 20, like, it really, like, that's kind of all it took for me to go, I don't need to put Karn in a Rhino. Like, I can just have him staged behind a ruin. He'll come out 8, advance and charge, and more than likely, like, whatever he connects into, or 2 or 3 things he connects into, is just dead. Like, it's just like he makes that whole unit just sing. And like, there's not a better HQ to put with Berzerkers than Karn. I'm like, I know a lot of people put him by himself or like the 10-man, but like, put him to 20-man. He's like, it might be overkill, but like, you can kill more with that unit. Like,
well, one of my favorite phrases is that overkill is underrated, and I think that's perfect for Karn, right? And also, if you think about it, like, it's a pretty expensive unit, right? Like, you've got the 360 points worth of Berzerkers and then 85 points for Karn. So, but if you think about it, if you got 10 Berzerkers of Karn in a Rhino, that's almost as expensive. Like, it's 100 points cheaper. But like, people look at it like, oh, you got to spend an extra 180 points to get that extra 10 Berzerkers. But if you're not bringing a Rhino, you're saving points on the Rhino. So it's not really that much bigger of an investment. And like, holy hell, does it put out a lot more than double the damage. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, you could even wrap it in a unit too if you wanted to. I mean, I used the Mauler fiends for my rapid ingresses, but like you can bring in that, you know, if you lose the 3 inches coming out of the Rhino because it's not a 10 man, but I mean, if you're having concerns about being able to connect with it, rapid ingress it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
I
just
was
depends, you
toying
know.
with the idea of a Lord of the Cardis 20 man for
Sure,
Rapid Ingress
sure.
because it's got Deep Strike,
Deep strike, yeah. Uh-huh.
but ultimately I think you're right in that Khan is just the value that he provides with that reroll ones to hit and wound when stretched to cost 20 models is
It
insane.
is it is so oppressive.
Like if you've
It
got
is so
100 attacks roughly on the unit, right?
yeah,
And you're re-rolling all your ones to hit, that's an
right.
extra, what, 16, 17 attacks that you're going to get.
Yeah,
Because you would have rolled
yeah,
17 ones that would have just gone, but now you get to roll those
right.
again. And then, you're probably going to get an extra 10 wounds through, 10
Yeah,
wound rolls. So it's like,
100%.
that's huge.
It's massive. And not
It's
only
like an
that,
extra
like you can.
it's like an extra 3 or 4 berserkers in the unit.
Oh yeah, and if you touch like 2 or 3 things, you pop +1 AP on the whole unit.
Yeah.
They're murdering everything that they touch because it's like they're almost guaranteed to get through your damage, and like that just makes a harder save. And then on the clapback, if you have a demon prince nearby, now you can -1 damage them in melee. So if they have stuff that they're trying
Hmm.
to come out and like try and kill you with, it's that much harder for them to chew through that unit. And it's
Yeah.
like more than likely they're not going to. And it's like now you're in trouble. Now you're stuck in combat with Karn's unit. He's going to kill whatever you just put into it, and now they're going to keep on going. And now he's just going to steamroll the rest of the army.
Yeah, hell
So
yeah.
yeah, it's awesome. I love it. I mean, it's like I wasn't sure about it because I hadn't really play tested it, but like man, it's like it's a hell of a drug putting
Yeah.
Karn with 20 berserkers.
Hell yeah. What about list going forward? Is there anything that you would change? Is there anything you're unhappy with?
To be honest, no, I really liked my list. I mean, I'm looking forward to some point changes when Death Guard and Knights finally get hit with a little bit of point changes as well. I just think there's some overpriced things with World Eaters right now, but I'll be honest, man. Like even if like 8 bound dropped, you know, it's like
Would you really
my
take
list
them at that
my
point?
list
Probably
still
not.
performed really well without them, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I like the Hellbrutes. I mean, I loved your video on Hell.
Thank
I've
you.
played with Hellbrutes. He's never. I've never had the ping pong like you've talked about in your games. Like I've wanted so badly, and they just have never done it. They're good. They're 120 points. It's worth it. But like, there's just a lot of units in World Eaters right now that are just better than 8 bound, which is unfortunate. And I don't know
Yeah.
if it's just a pricing thing that's the problem, or I mean, it's definitely the data sheet is the problem with the Exalted, where it's like GW needs to go back to the drawing board with those guys and just figure out like what to do with that because they're
Yeah,
not
it's
good.
really disappointing that I think 8 bound, Angron, there's a few other units in the book, like the Exalted 8 bound, where the problem actually isn't the points. The problem is that
Right,
data sheet doesn't work, you know?
right,
And like I don't want to see a world where Exalted 8 bound and 8 bound drop down to like 110 points each, and you end
yeah,
up with these like hordes of 8 bound. I don't want to see that. I want to see like
right,
elite 8 bound that are tough and kill shit like what we're
right,
used to.
yeah.
Um,
I
you
think
know,
durability is I think durability is a problem for them.
it's a big problem. Yeah,
Like 3 up, 5 up. It probably makes more sense on 8 bound. You could probably leave those 3 up, 5 up because it's like their kind of job is to like kind of buff and like they're anti-infantry and it's like you know they'll trade with infantry fine like, but like Exalted probably need either a 4 or a 2 on the save,
yeah,
um, to make them good because it's like you're asking me to spend 160 points on something that's still going to die just as fast as a regular 8 bound, and it's like
yeah. I've
you
seen
have
people comparing them to like custody wardens and things like that, and it's like
yeah.
they're the same points, but the custodies are just better in every measurable
Well,
way.
how many points are 3 Death Shroud? Like 130
Yeah,
points?
something like that, and it's like they're so much better.
Death Shroud, like that's a 2 up, 4 up. What is it? A toughness 7 body that absolutely shreds in combat. Like,
Yeah,
and and they can. I like our possessed Slaughterbound detachment. You can come down within 6 inches, but you can't charge. But it's like Death Shroud are like We can.
Yeah. They need to fix that strat. That strat needs to.
Like,
that strat needs to become a. It needs to become a 6-inch deep strike and charge.
Yeah. Yes. 100%.
If they did that, that detachment then becomes interesting.
Well, they've already shown that like Death Shroud can do that, and it is rough. And maybe you have like one extra qualifier in there for the 8-pound to do it, but like, you know.
Well, the Chaos Demons have a stratagem that used to be 3-inch deep strike, and then they changed it to 6-inch deep strike and charge.
Yeah.
It's exactly the situation we're in. So I think they should just change it from... In the book, it's printed as a 3-inch deep strike. It should just be a 6-inch deep strike, but you can charge. And then...
It's so goofy that they rolled that out and didn't, like, FAQ it or anything. Like, just like, let's just send that. That's good. That's a good detach. That's a good stratagem. You're like...
It's a weird one that they've even as printed. Like, why would you want your Exalted 8-bound to be able to 3-inch deep strike and then not charge? Like, they're not high enough OC to flip an objective.
No,
they're not gonna shoot anything. They're not durable.
They're not Terminators that you're just like, okay, kill my guys.
Yeah, exactly.
If you drop
so it's like
8-bound in front of something, you're like, kill my guys. They go, okay, I will. You know, and they're dead. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's the dumbest. That's the dumbest stratagem in the book. I think it's definitely up there.
I think that one of my biggest disappointments in the Codex was that detachment specifically, like the Blood Surge on the 8-bound, where I'm like, I don't want a Blood Surge on my 8-bound. Like, they're gonna die. Like, that's gonna happen. Like, I need a better rule than that. And then
the detachment rule should have been a 6-up Furnace Pain.
100%.
And then you'd be like, 100%. Okay, now 8-bound are back in the conversation.
Yeah, or something along those lines, and then 6-inch jazz hands where you're just like, cool strategy. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna use the hell out of that. Like, I don't know, it's a bummer because it's like that needs a rewrite. I think generally speaking, Dean, I really think that like the World Eaters Codex in general, like outside of Berserker Warband, is kind of suffering. Like, there's not. Yeah. I'm not interested in running, Gore Track. I was running Demonkin for a bit. That was fun because, Scarbrand and all that, it was.
Yeah, I think Demonkin is well, it was good. I think it's going to struggle now that they've FAQ'd that the summon from Slaughter stratagem, which I'm so salty about that. Literally the day I released my video on it, they FAQ'd it to not work. I literally posted the video, sent it, and then immediately I'm like, oh yeah, cool, I'm just gonna go to bed after sending that. I'll just quickly check Facebook, and I check Facebook and it's like, FAQs just dropped, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if we got anything, and I look down and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. It's so frustrating.
It's your fault. You did this.
Yeah, I was like, I willed it into existence.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Demonkin was fine. I think they're still okay now. Like, it's playable. It's fine. Just nowhere near as good.
They're okay. Yeah, they're like, their power level definitely dropped, but they're not. It's not a bad detachment. I mean, Scarbrand for 305 is criminally undercosted, but hey, I guess that makes up for Angron being 385 points.
Yeah, they should both be like 325, something like that.
Something around there, right? I don't know how you go 305 and then 380 for those two models.
When Scarbrand is arguably better than Angron. It's like, but he's a full unit cheaper.
Correct. I mean, he moves farther, sure, and he has fly and stuff like that, but I'd rather have Scarbrand than in a demon's army where he like buffs the rest. I mean, again, lost all of his agency because it's like he doesn't really buff anything and he doesn't really do anything. He lost his rerolls, so it's like I'd rather have a Scarbrand that just now makes the rest of your army also amazing because everything around it's now getting an extra attack, and so now your 90-point bloodletters are turning into a murder machine.
Yeah, that 90-point unit will now kill 120, 150.
Oh yeah, now you're really punching stuff. Yeah. That just the Codex was just it was balanced around Berserker Warband, and I think it was goofy for them to do the plus. Like, I see what they're going for with making it kind of like the the Blood Angels thing, but when you have strength 4 Berserkers in every other detachment, I don't know.
Yeah, it really does make it feel like the only way to run Berserkers is in the Berserker Warband, and even just like, I mean, they kind of work in Gore Track because the Lance
It's good. The
is
lance is good.
is good. It works out
Yeah.
roughly the same as the +2
It
strength,
does.
but you don't get the +1 attack. So even then, the warband is still going to hit 16% harder.
Warband is
But even
it's
things
so
like 8 bound, like in Warband, going from strength 8 to strength 10 is such a
yeah.
massive breakpoint because it means
huge.
that toughness 8, 9, and 10 you get better into, and those are
Right.
all very common
Right.
like toughness breakpoints. So
Right.
like 8 bound, your spawn, your all
Yeah.
literally all of our good units get significantly
It makes
better
them so
in,
much better.
that.
And it's like imagine it's like taking 8 bound in a gore where it's like now you're still paying 150 points for this thing, and you're like, now they're
Yeah.
just strength 8. Now they only have 4 attacks, and you're
Yeah.
just like, this isn't worth it at all.
Yeah, and even like the 8 bound specific detachment. Like if we imagine a case where, let's say 8 bound go down to like 120 points, and
Yeah.
and of both varieties go down to like 120 points, then you'd be like, okay,
Right.
well now they're actually pretty competitively priced. Like that's not too expensive. So
Right.
you'd be like, cool, what if we ran an army that has lots of 8 bound in it? What detachment would you take? You'd probably still
Right.
take Berserker Warband. Even if you
100%.
didn't have any Berserkers, it was just all 8 bound and Spawn and
100%.
Forge Fiends, you'd probably still take the Berserker Warband because
Yeah.
sure, you can get the +1 damage in the Slaughter Band detachment, which is really good, but
Yeah.
+1 attack and +2 strength, you're going
Right.
to get through more damage that way
Right.
anyway, and then it doesn't even require a stratagem to get that additional damage, so you're just going to take Warband again. So I
Right.
think they've actually written themselves into quite a deep hole where they're
Yeah.
gonna really struggle
weird.
to justify
And
any other
ironically-
detachment.
Yeah. And ironically, like the Black Templar, I'm also a Black Templar player, so I'm like really excited about this codex. Like,
Yeah,
I was scared after World Years. I'm like, man, I don't think they're going to be able to like write Black Templars because they've always kind of backed themselves into a corner with those guys too, where it's like,
Yeah.
no, they're the slow, durable army, and they're not gonna have feel no pain anymore because nobody gets that anymore. Good, but like, what are they gonna do? And I love it. I like. There's so much like cool stuff and flavor. I don't know what detachment to run because there's like 2 or 3 that I'm like, this isn't bad, but World Leaders are just like.
I can't remember who it was. Somebody did some analysis on this where they found that almost every army there was, I can't remember the percentage, but there was a huge percentage of armies that now have a codex. The most popular detachment is still the index detachment.
Yeah.
So even the codexes that they've come out, they've got another 6 detachments, and everyone's just like, nah, I'll just continue using the index one. And I think that's probably because when they wrote the edition, they go, cool, we're going to give everybody a detachment. And because some people are going to be waiting 6 to 12 months before they get a codex, we'll make sure that detachment's like pretty good for everything. Like it's a good all-round detachment. It's got good stuff for each unit. And as a result, they kind of just wrote the best detachment as the index one. And then when they start writing all these fringe sort of specialized detachments, it's like, yeah, that's cool for rhinos. Goretrack's great if you've got rhinos, but it's kind of bad for everything else in the army, so I'm going to keep going with the other one. I think that's the challenge they've got.
The Grotmas, or whatever they call those things,
yeah.
Are interesting, but like it's funny how you've seen some of them kind of getting rolled out by the, for like the Necrons and the Tyranids, where it's like, here's a really insane good roll. Oh, also just reroll hits across your whole army. And you're like, I don't think Tyranids needed that. I don't know if Necrons needed that, but okay, cool. So it's like they roll out their, and I get it because like I think CSM's kind of, suffering because they had an early codex, and it's like,
power
I think
creep.
just the writing style I think has changed, which is good. Like they're obviously like learning and making different decisions and stuff like that. But like there's like when they rolled out all the data sheets for the new World Eaters, for the the Hellbrutes and the Demon Princes, I was like, because I'm a CSM player too. I'm like, is I'm gonna get a new Demon and a better Hellbrute and all, and then it didn't happen initially until we did get a better Demon Prince. But like, so I don't know. It's interesting. I guess the Grotmas detachments. It's like they do. I'm glad that they're still rolling out. If you have a very early edition codex, you're still like,
they're giving some love.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's good. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I mean, the edition's almost over, so I don't know what direction they're going to go. So
Yeah, well, apparently I've heard a few rumors about 11. Have you heard anything about 11th edition yet?
no, I haven't. And I mean, I don't. The problem is they have so many like game systems. Like they have like Heresy now that like that's controversial because they changed a bunch of stuff there, and they still have Sigmar. And so I mean, I know they're like probably trying to like a lot of these other game systems. I think they're probably trying to like figure out like what's working in those, what's fun with, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
They do often use those other systems to test things to see if they work, and then they apply them to 40k because 40k is with their bread and butter. One of the things that I've heard that they're going to be doing is they're going to be getting rid of the whole base contact and within base of a guy who's within base to work out who can fight, and it's just everybody has a 3-inch engagement range, and that's it.
Oh.
Apparently, that's one. I
think I like that.
And that's one of the things they did in the World Eaters book with the Juggernaut War. They essentially gave him that rule as a way to test. Like, let's put this rule on this one unit in this one codex.
Yeah.
Send that out there and see if people can break it. And see if it breaks the game.
You're seeing that stratagem more and more too. Like the new one of the Black Templars one has that. And so I mean, so far it's not like not breaking the game, and I think that's actually
apparently 6-inch Pilot and Consolidate is also going to be just a universe. That's just how Pilot and Consolidate works now.
Yeah,
which is going to be interesting.
You know what that's going to fix too is the whole magic box, behind the wall thing that they've been struggling to deal with this entire time. And if they, that'll make it so that you really just can't have guys just sitting behind a wall if you don't want them to get charged and fought again. So
which is that's a big motivator. Big motivator for them is they don't want people to be doing that thing where you're just like, cool, I'm further than an inch from the wall. Yeah. You have to walk all the way around.
Everybody does it, and sometimes you're just like, I'm an inch behind the wall. I'm an inch behind the wall. Like, are you measuring the inch behind the wall?
Yeah, most people they just play by intent. It's like I have the capacity to be, and you just throw the models there, and then
It's just a goofy interaction, is what it is, and they did kind of write themselves into a corner with that one too. And I think they've struggled all edition, and we're both melee players, and so it's like you have to deal with that crap where it's like I want to kill these things behind the wall, but go all around the room to do it. It's like that doesn't make any sense. I would suspect that there's probably going to be some like more like reactive stuff maybe happening where it's like it doesn't Sigmar do like you fight then they fight, you fight then they fight, or it's like it's not just I do all my fighting and then you do all your fighting back.
I'm not sure. So I don't play Sigmar, and neither do any of my friends. I do remember there was one point where in Sigmar it was instead of like I take first turn, you take second, I take the first turn of battle round 2, you take second. You basically re-roll to see who goes first at the start of every battle round. So there's a chance that like I'll take first turn, you'll go second, then you'll get another turn, and then I'll go second. So you can get consecutive turns. Which
I would hate that.
That would be a disaster. It would be an absolute disaster.
I do know that exists in Sigmar, and it's probably been the number one thing where I'm not playing that.
Yeah, imagine as a World Eaters player just going out, charging everything, killing it, and then getting to do it again. You'd be like, well, you fucking lose.
Well, you want to get lunch early, or
yeah, exactly. It would be horrible. And I know that they tested out in an Apocalypse game, which apparently rumors were that they were testing this out to implement in 40k, but the tests were unsuccessful, so they're not going to. That's what I heard.
Oh.
But what they tested was basically at the start of the movement phase, we all put tokens next to our units, and basically if I go first, I get to move a unit, then you get to move a unit. Then I get to move a unit, then you get to move a unit. We go back and forth until the movement phase is done. Then we put tokens down on everything, and I get to shoot with a unit, then you get to shoot with a unit, back and forth. Sort of like how the fight phase kind of works like that, where you fight phase, you alternate activations. They did that with an Apocalypse thing to see whether, because obviously in an Apocalypse game, I don't know if you've played like large scale 40k
before. It's a ton of models and units,
But the problem is whoever goes first always just wins, because if I have 50,000 points worth, I can shoot it at you, and I'm going to kill 25,000 points worth of your army, and then you've got 25,000 points versus my 50,000 points. You're not doing shit, and then say you kill 15,000 points of mine. Well, now I've got 45,000 points worth to get,
Right.
and it's just
Right.
it's over in 2 turns every single
Snowball
time.
fast. Yeah.
So they sort of introduced this alternating mechanic to get around that, and they were
Mm.
apparently they were planning to do that for 40k. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be coming in at 10th or whether they were testing that for 11th. But yeah, apparently they've abandoned that, so that's good
Thank God.
because that would have
That
sucked.
ain't it. That ain't it. I mean, I do know they get the criticism of like this is like a much older game design. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either. Like
Yeah.
everyone's always like, oh, I'm like, I mean, that's how the game's played, and I've heard it's like, oh, it's more like a card game than it is like ability and data sheets. I'm like, but I don't know.
I like
It's
it.
hard for me
I think 10th edition's in a really good spot. I think
I
there's
do too.
there's a few
It's
quality of life
fantastic.
things they could do to change it,
Sure.
but overall, I really like it.
It's a
My
blast.
biggest criticism is that they removed the role playing element by going.
Yeah.
You used to be able to take like, okay, I'm going to take my character, I'm going to give him war gear upcone, then I'm going to give him a warlord trait and an enhancement. I'm going to create this character that's
Right.
like something
Awesome thing,
unique.
yeah.
And I'm going to take this unit, I'm going to pay the extra points to give it all this fancy, really cool war gear to really
Yeah.
put the or I'm going to take this unit, I'm going to just they're really dirt cheap and they're my throwaway unit, and like I'm not going to give them any upgrades. Whereas
Right.
they've removed that, and it's like, yep, cool, you've got a unit of 5 berserkers. Well, it has 2 plasma pistols and an eviscerator.
Right.
Like, and it's like, but I don't want that stuff. I just want this unit to throw away. So that's my
think
biggest criticism.
Yeah, no, and I think they could do more. Like, because I know they were doing like, Leviathan. I think was the first, GT pack, and then they did Prime Nexus and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's like there's like these like, I guess narratives happening in the background to give it these names, right? Like the first one being Tyranids are here,
Yeah.
and then and then Necrons. But you're like, but none of the player pack or none of the mission cards or like reflects anything going on in some narrative form. And I think they could probably like now that like, I mean, I think the community's done a great job at like kind of steering them in the direction of like fixed terrain, like okay, footprints, terrain, like I think GW can kind of like take that and run with a certain idea to like make games just a little bit more flavorful or like incorporate somehow like some form of narrative, like an objective like that has to do with like a Necron thing or a Tyranid thing or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think one
Like-
thing that they could do that would help with what you're talking about there is asymmetrical deployment zones. So
Yeah.
every table is perfectly symmetrical, and that to me it's very hard to tell a narrative there.
Sure.
Whereas if they went, what we're going to do is we're going to create one deployment zone that's just slightly more defensible.
Right.
Like that doesn't have to be completely wild. Just like in this one, the terrain is angled like that, and in the other
Right.
one, it's angled more open, right? Ever so slightly. And then you just go, cool. This one's the attacker, that one's the defender, and whoever's in the deployment zone that's open, they get first turn because they don't have anywhere to hide. But whoever's in the one that's got the hiding ruins, they get second. You could make it a
Right.
little bit more thematic that way.
Right.
But I can see the community. I can already see the comments on this one being like, no.
Well, I mean, I do think they can, and I hope they're I hope they're player testing like a lot of this stuff, right? Like I get that like 11th is coming and they want you need to innovate somehow, but it's also one of those like don't innovate too much because I don't really want you to change the game that I love.
Yeah,
too
don't
much
if it ain't broke, don't fix
right,
it.
yeah, because then you're just I mean, 40k is doing really well competitively right now, and I get the complaint that it's like there's not enough love for like narrative and fluff stuff, but like, it's really balanced and it's like a really fun game. And you have a lot of options and way to go, and they do have crusade rules and they do have all these things that you can play the game narratively still, right? Like the lore's still there. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, that's why I don't get paid the big bucks to like figure it out. But
We've got a local tournament that does narrative style games, and I'm working with them. We're creating a new system for their narrative games, and we're calling it the Sinndeck, which is just a play on my surname with a deck of cards. And basically, what it's going to be is instead of having command points and stratagems and secondaries, that's all going to be one deck of cards that you draw from. So instead of drawing your 2 secondaries, you'll draw like 4 cards, and they'll either be a secondary objective, or there'll be a mission that you need to do, or there'll be I drew a command point that I can then use on my stratagems. Like we're sort of working it all in to be a little bit more, a little bit more crazy, a little bit more unpredictable. And also
awesome.
give players the option to go, you know what, I'm just going to focus on achieving my missions, but that means I get no command points. Or I'm going to focus on killing you, I'm going to use all my command points, but then I'm not scoring my secondaries. Like, trying to link those together in an interesting way.
I think that's cool. I'm curious, how do you feel about the Challenger card?
I love the idea. I think the execution is poorly thought out. And I think the core reason that they don't work the way that they are intended, or the way that they're designed, is because Games Workshop doesn't fully understand what it means to be winning or losing a game. Being behind in points doesn't mean you're losing, because there's the victory points component, but then there's also the game state, right? And if you and me are playing a game right now, and I'm behind by 6 points, but you're almost tabled, who's losing, right? It ain't me. That's the problem. And how do you measure that? It's so hard.
Yeah. And 6 points really is not enough points being down to warrant giving you like a major advantage on your next turn. And when I say major advantage, it's like, you might just take the 2 or 3 extra points.
Yeah.
But you might also get like a stratagem where it's like Scarbrand can run through a wall and basically just charge your backline, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you're just like...
Yeah, or Khan and his unit can all of a sudden fall back, shoot and charge, and then all of a sudden that 20-man unit's just like fucking just gone nuts. It's like, okay.
I'm gonna go kill over here now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't love it, because I think it almost penalizes you for winning, and it and it's I'm not saying that it's coddling the player that's not winning. I don't want to call them I don't want to say losers, but like if you're not winning the game.
Yeah, well, there's a word for that. It's called losing.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But and games are usually close enough too, where it's like, a 6-point advantage is not, you're not out of the game at all.
Yeah.
In any you might have just drawn shitty secondaries your first round, your opponent didn't, but now you're getting this amazing buff.
Yeah, I love the idea of a catch-up mechanic, because we've all played those games where you have a really bad first turn, maybe you fail a couple of important charges, or you shoot some stuff and it bounces and your opponent doesn't die, or whatever. It works in both ways. But we've all had those games where you've had a bad first turn, your opponent's had a really good first turn, and you're like, okay, I'm fucked now, but I have to spend 3 hours just sitting in it. It's like there's nothing I can do to turn this game around. But you're trying so desperately, and everything that you throw at the wall is just missing because you're starting so far behind the 8 ball. So I like the idea of a catch-up mechanic. And I think games that have them tend to be a lot more enjoyable, because it means that both players have something to play for the whole time. But I think what it should be is maybe an easy fix, at least temporarily, should be that you should be 15 points behind.
10 or 12.
10, 12, 15. Yeah. So you have to be significantly behind.
Yeah.
So then so then it's super obvious, you are definitely losing.
Right.
Right.
So that and in that case, I'd be okay with there being a strong stratagem.
Exactly. Yeah. Or then the secondary is worth 5 points instead of worth 2 or 3. Right. So you make it harder to unlock the challenger, but you make the challenger more impactful. And that way, in most games, it's not going to come up at all. Because if you and I play it and we're within 5 to 10 points of each other the whole time, that's what we would consider a relatively close game. And it is what it is, right? So you play those normal games, but for those games where you do get a poleaxed, turn 1 and you're in a lot of trouble, well, all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, now that I'm 15 points behind and it's only turn 2 and I'm in a lot of trouble, well, now I draw this challenger card and it's like, hey, go kill 3 enemy units and you'll get 15 victory points, and now you're back in the game, or something like that.
Right. I agree. Yeah. No,
But
that would be
I
that would
like it's so far
be a
it's
good
the
thing.
best version of the catch up mechanic they've had. Like the gambits was rubbish.
I hated the gambits. Yeah, gambits were
Um,
horrible.
this is much
What was
better, so it's a step in the right direction.
is this like the was this the next phase after Gambit? It is, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
because Gambit
I think it was gambits and then this.
in this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody hated
Oh no,
Gambits
there was
too.
gambits, secret missions,
That's what it was. Secret missions. I
and
knew we were
then
missing.
and now this.
Yeah,
And secret missions were very similar to gambits.
they were, but they were also pretty toxic too because it was
Yeah,
just like you might be able to draw secret missions too, where it was just like your warlord's Angron, and it's like take their home objective, and you're like, okay, just
yeah,
fly over 14 here and kill the idiots off the home objective. You're like, okay, now I get 30 points. Now what?
yeah,
You're
exactly.
like, wow, what a cool interactive comeback.
Yeah, and I do like the way that the challenger cards, like, they can bring you back into the game early, whereas the
Yeah,
secret mission was like last minute, like last battle round, you know,
yeah,
win it all here. Whereas the challenger cards, it's like, well, you're losing. We're going to give you this, get you back into the game, but then we're cutting
right.
you off, right? Like now that you're back in the
Um,
game, you don't get any more support. I like that
sure.
idea of the challenger card, um, but yeah, I think that my biggest problem with the challenger card is that they activate when you're not necessarily losing. You know, you might be
Right,
absolutely tabling your opponent, but you're not very far
right.
ahead on victory points. So
Yeah,
maybe if they had some kind of mechanic where it was like, you know, if you're for every victory point you're behind by, you generate
right,
one token, and for
right.
every unit that your opponent has killed, you know, you generate a token, and if that pool gets beyond a certain point, it activates a challenger card. So it's like, you
Yeah,
know, if your opponent hasn't killed anything, then you're winning, so you don't get a challenger card. But if they're killing your
yeah.
stuff and you're behind in victory points, then all of a sudden you game one. But then that's
Or
rife for abuse with people like taking
it,
MSU. So
it might be, and actually now that you're mentioning it, it might be a cool mechanic to something along the lines of like Blood Tithe with the
yeah,
the Demon Kin buffs, where it's like you can start taking tokens like that and spend one early for maybe like an extra inch of movement, or like
yeah,
if you spend like three, you might get like sustain hits across your whole army or something like that. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
obviously the tokens would have to be a little bit more. You don't get it if you're down 6 points. You might get one if you're down 10 or something like that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
did have one challenger card that I got in the Knights game because obviously I didn't score in my first round because I
yeah,
got fixed. So he got his secondaries. When it went back to me, I pulled my challenger card and it was sustain hits on a ranged unit, and so I was like, I'm putting that on my Forge Fiend.
yeah.
So he came out and like sustained hit some poor Halvern. It just went like it was pretty good. It was awesome.
Yeah,
He spit way too much fire at this thing because it was full rerolls to hit, and I'm like, oh yeah, of course
yeah,
he takes sustain.
yeah.
Of course he does. So that was cool.
But yeah, not a huge fan. I'm not as anti challenger card as other people. Um,
Yeah,
I applaud the effort and the attempt.
I think it's a cool idea, like you said. I just think they need to like pull it back a little bit because it's a
Yeah,
little too like it's a little too free at the moment, and it
yeah,
really punishes you as the person that's like just playing the game better.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Even if it's like something like it like if there's instances where you roll below averages, you can get some kind of benefit from that or something like that. So it's like
right,
it's reward. It's sort of a catch up mechanic that activates when you're. It's not that you're making bad decisions; it's that you're getting diced. Maybe there's
right.
something they could do there. I don't know how that'd work. Like
I
maybe
don't know either.
if you're behind by certain points, you get command rerolls,
Right.
something like that, instead of
Yeah.
generating victory points and just getting straight back into the game that way. It's like, oh, your
Yeah.
luck has been bad, so we're going to give you some buffs so that your luck going forward is
Yeah.
better.
I don't love the just giving free points thing. I think that's
Yeah,
actually like not a very good. And I understand you may pull a stratagem that's just not very good for that's not going to help you get back into the game. But I don't know. I think just giving people just free 2 or 3 points is like, I don't know. That's stupid. I don't like
yeah,
that.
it feels cheap. It feels like a cheap
Yeah.
solution to the problem.
Yeah, it just, I mean, I think it feels bad if you're the person that's ahead and you're just, but not by much, and you're just like, okay, yeah, just why not just take 3 extra points? And
Yeah.
I'm sure people have won games too that like by 1 or 2 points because they just pulled those
100%.
secondaries and then maxed, primary or something like that in the last turn, and you're just like, great, I'm glad I lost by like 1 point because of this stupid system.
Yeah, the first game that I played with Challenger cards, I actually won it by 3 or 4 points. But at the end of the game, we were putting in the scores, and my opponent was like, "Oh, we forgot Challenger cards." And I was like, "We did completely forget to do Challenger cards." So then we were like, "Oh well, I mean, it is what it is. We both forgot. Like, it is what it is."
Yeah.
And then we've looked back on it, and it was like he would have been Challenger turns 2, 3, and 4.
Oh,
And then we're like, okay, well, let's see what would have happened. So we pulled his turn,
Right.
and it turns out, it's obviously it's hard to say because it would have changed all kinds of things.
Yeah,
And this was in a practice game. This wasn't at a tournament.
Sure.
But we looked at it and we're like, oh, you actually would have
that.
won that game had you drawn those challenge cards because in that turn, I'm pretty sure you did kill 2 units, and in that turn, you did have somebody in my deployment zone. So it's like, wow, with you having made no different decisions, with you having just played exactly the same way that you played, you would have won with challenger cards, but you lost because you didn't have them.
The tabletop battle app now,
it's very good. It's very good.
Awesome now. Like challenger, and you see it, actually, you go to the next round, you see it, you're like my opponent's about to get the challenger card.
Yeah.
It's like you can see it out there too, and you're like, yeah, take your stupid challenger card.
Yeah, I mean, it is another one of those things though that it's like, smart competitive players will work around this. Like I've already seen people that are doing things where they're intentionally not scoring things so that their opponent doesn't generate a challenger card, so that they can then their opponent does things and now in the next turn I'm going to score a challenger card. Like trying to engineer the game in such a way that you end up as the challenger. Like so. You can't stop competitive players from looking at any system of rules and identifying the best methods to achieve the best results. So at the end of the day, whatever system GW come up with, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I mean, I think that they just tweak it, like you said, like if they just push the points up a little bit, like make it a 10-point, I'm surprised, to be honest with you, because, when it first rolled out, especially with like WTC scoring, it was like you get a lot of ties. Like, that's a problem. Like there needs to, but I think if you adjust the points, I think it's a good idea. It's better than Gambit's and secret missions. So, I mean, at least there's that, but I think there just needs to be, it's too feels bad right now. And people like me don't enjoy, keeping the game too close unnecessarily. Right.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing is just trying to play the game and,
and it leads to counterintuitive plays, right? Where like you're doing things because of the mission that is strategic, but it's like, but my units wouldn't be doing this. Like it makes it feel, I don't know, it feels kind of just off.
I agree.
But yeah, all right, man. Well, thanks again for your time. This has been a fantastic chat. Is there anything you wanted to sort of touch on before we wrap up? Is there any upcoming events you want to talk about? Yeah, team stuff, any associations?
Yeah. We got some team stuff coming up. I know we have a tournament in Salt Lake City that we're kind of prepping for in September. It's kind of cool. We're doing our first teams. It's a threes teams event in Boise next month in August. Like, teams is getting more popular, and then I already was talking to my buddy Damien today, or maybe it was yesterday. I have no track of time anymore, but he was talking about, hey, do you want to play more teams, events with us, do like 2 or 3 years? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Teams is so much fun.
It's so much fun. I love it. I mean, it's harder to organize. It's harder to get, 5 or 8 guys, but like, man, it's like DreamHack when I went, and I, obviously it's like, I'm going to the same tournament as like Art of War and all these like big guys, and so shooting myself a little bit, going like, this competition, there's no free games at this event. But it was just, I mean, I don't know, just playing with like 7 other guys. We all stayed in an Airbnb together, and like I got to know them really well. And it's like we weren't playing against each other; we were playing with each other.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like
I think
after
that's
games
the
are
key
over,
element. That is the key
yes,
element, is that you're
oh, it's so
playing
good. And you're like,
with people.
and,
That's the unique thing.
and you're cheering on. You're like you're sticking around because it's like once you're done in your singles game, you're like, I'm gonna go grab a burger piece. Like you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah,
teams, you're like, I want to stick around. And I want to like cheer on my teammates and being like, you know, you got this, man. You know, little stuff like that. And then when you go back to the house after after a long day of playing, like you're high fiving. You're not just
yeah,
like saying like, oh, you did so great today, man. Oh, thanks for your games. It was like, dude, we did so good today. Like you
yeah.
know, like
Or even
you
just
know,
little things like, if there's a list that everybody on your team is particularly scared of, where like, oh, no one
yeah,
can beat this, and you're like,
yes,
I'll go into it, like pair me into it,
right.
I'll figure it out, and then you
I was
bring
the
back
Death Star
like, yeah, and you bring back
guy. I
like 9 points, right? And it's like
yeah,
you lost, but it was a close game, and it turns out that that 9 points was enough to get your team over the line, and then you
yeah,
kind of feel like the hero for jumping on the
yeah,
grenade, and like even
yeah,
though you lost the game, you walk away
right.
with such an immensely positive experience.
Right.
Like you can't do that in
I,
singles.
I think that I think that's a cool feeling to be like my team trusts me enough to like go into like the broken meta army
Yeah,
and to not just get dumpstered on
yeah, yeah,
like you said, like losing by like 4 or 5 points against a super crazy army. It's like good job.
yeah,
we won, we won because everybody else did their job and you
yeah,
didn't get dumpstered. Good
yeah,
job.
yeah, yeah.
So
It's
it's
amazing. It's
cool.
so good.
It's a great format. They really nailed the format of teams.
And
So
you can do it where you can do it 3 mans, 4 mans, 5 mans, six
yeah,
mans, 8 mans. Like there's all different types of team events, so it
yeah,
scales really well.
it really
And
does.
it's also really forgiving for newer players because you can go, oh, you're new, like we're going to give you a favorable matchup, and you're going to be able to play a game that you're comfortable with.
Yeah,
And meanwhile, with like, I'll throw myself into the sharks,
yeah,
So it allows for newer players to get into the game as well without having to
yeah.
stress too much about like who they verse and
Well, and there's greater incentive too. Like there's a guy in my team where like I want to work with him more and like get him
yeah,
and like so like even today I was like looking at lists with him being like I don't know if I would do that. And I would be a friend, but like he's my teammate, so I want to see him succeed because I want
yeah.
our team to
I
so I'm more,
attribute a
they're more
large
incentive
portion of my
to work
success
with
to
those
that.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like when I
and
was first getting into tournaments, I used to live in a like little rural town, um,
yeah,
and I remember driving down to a tournament one day, and I think I played the game. I got absolutely dumpstered, but I met a couple of guys. We had good laughs at lunch break and whatever, um,
right,
and then like a year or two later, I moved into the city, and I happened to live near them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, that guy was cool. He was funny." So we sort of got hanging out and playing
yeah,
games, and they would always just run through me. I was bad, but then they had a teams event where somebody dropped out last minute, and they
right,
were like, "Oh, Dean, you should just jump in." And then
right,
as a result, I was like, "All right, cool, I'll jump in." And they were like, "Okay, now we've got these other 7 people that are all dedicated into teaching me how to not suck at the game."
yeah, yeah,
Because they
yeah,
needed me to do well, so
right,
they
right.
taught me just so much stuff. And then I went to that
Operation
tournament.
make teams suck less.
Yeah, exactly. And I went to that tournament and I went undefeated. And I like they put me into
That's
the
amazing.
specific matchups. They're like, this is exactly how you beat knights. This is what you need to do to
Yeah,
beat them. And then they
that's so
paired me into
cool.
the knights, and I won those games. And then
That's so
next
cool.
minute I'm on the state team, and then the next minute I'm on the national team, and the next minute I'm captain of the national team. It's like I wouldn't
Yeah,
be here if it wasn't
yeah,
for those team events. I wouldn't be the force that I am. And
yeah.
so yeah, I'm a massive advocate for team events. Massive.
Oh, I'm
Singles
so
singles are still great. I'm not saying don't
singles are
play
awesome.
singles events.
I'm a singles Andy, but team like I'm like if teams are I'm like trying to get like play more teams things because I'm just
Yeah,
like every time someone asks me on a team say I'm like yes 100% like
yeah,
I will go to your team's thing.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, 100%.
it's fun. So and then we got LVO Las Vegas Open
Yep.
October, which is funny because we had just had it in January, but then they moved it to October, so we're gonna have LVO twice in the year. And then aside from that, just little RTTs and stuff like that, I'm sure. But I'll be burnt out by October or November,
Yeah.
just like anything. I need a break.
Is there anywhere people can go to sort of follow your stuff? Do you don't have a page? You don't have a channel? You don't have anything like that? People just follow you on
No.
BCP, I guess.
No, yeah, BCP. I guess I will say this was after winning. It was the first time I've actually had just random people reach out to me through. I don't know if it was Facebook or it may have been Facebook through my email address or something like that, and be like, "Hey, man, what was your list?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is cool. Like,
Yeah.
Here's my list. This is
Well, the
what it
World
does."
Eaters community is pretty good like that. We
They
do
are.
tip,
No,
you know,
they're awesome. Yeah, I mean, I actually really like the community a lot.
Yeah.
And but I'm also just like I'm also very pro too. So I just thought it was cool that like people were. I know it's like I'm not famous by any means, but it's like it's weird when all of a sudden you start getting recognition for things and people just reach out to you from the warp and they're just like, "Hey man, like what are you cooking with over in there?" And you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
Yeah, well,
So
people want to share in the success, and that's a large part
yeah,
of why I like
no,
getting people like
I'm not
yourself on the channel so that we can sort of share
yeah,
that.
I mean, exactly. And of course, it's like I've developed a friendship with you because I mean, it's like the 30 Terminators thing. I kind of was inspired by you, and so and then after that was I think last summer, and then winning a GT, and after watching your WTC, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna tell Dean that I won a tournament and I didn't bring any 8-bound and I didn't bring Angron, and like, I pretty much did something similar to what he was doing with the Mauler Fiends and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's cool. It's like I feel like I have like a friendship with you, obviously, since we've done podcasts a few times. But like you're a fellow World Eaters player, and it's like the world's smaller because we have the internet, and so it's like, and you have a YouTube channel, so it's like it's cool. It's cool to share things and like obviously that rapport and the back and forth and like
Yeah,
I
hell yeah.
I hope more people bring Karn with 20 Berserkers and run a Demon Prince with Lone Ops, with the Master of Execution or whatever, because it's not a secret. It's like it's just it's just good strategy, and so just makes the game better. You know what I mean? I'm not.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things it does also is it gives people that injection of confidence, right? Like there may have been people that have been thinking about running Khan with 20
Sure.
Berserkers, but they, whereas they listen to a conversation like this and they go, okay, cool. Now I feel like it can be done and it does work.
Yeah.
I also now have some examples of it working well and examples of it maybe not working so well, and then it emboldens them to then go out and do it. And then when they go out and they do it, and then they have more fun, and it's like it's one of those things where it's just the positivity begets more positivity. Is if we go out and we're like sharing our ideas, then those ideas can flourish, they can develop, and then I just think it's an immensely positive approach, and yeah.
I get so much inspiration from like seeing guys like you that have like just get way more reps into the game than I do, or like the Anthony Vanilla, because it's like those guys probably play like 4 or 5 games a day. I don't know, like it's I have a full-time job, so I can't do that. But like I'll watch a video or I'll look at a guy's list that I know gets in a ton of reps, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's working for him, like I did with his Angron list. But you have to juxtapose it with, okay, he's going to WTC, he's playing on on a certain terrain layout, he'll probably get the pairings he wants. I'm going to a singles tournament. Here's the player packet with the terrain that I'm getting.
Like, very different.
Is this list that's very good going to work into that? Well, a lot of it will, but some of it won't. So it's like there's still. I mean, I still I try not to like just rip off someone's list, but obviously you can kind of see like what's working and what's not, and then kind of just tailor it around your play style, and it's
well, that tailoring around your playstyle is such a huge component of it, because
it's massive.
Like you said, like if you look at an Anthony Vanilla list, or like there's a few other, like Brian Doherty from Red Path, he does really good work as well. Like
awesome too,
you watch these guys, and it's like that the list that they've wrote has specific elements in it that have adapted to their playstyle, and like you said, they've probably played 50 games on that exact list, so they know exactly how every component works. If you're just reading it and then copying it and then going and playing it, you're not going to know how those elements work. You're not going to know the extent of how they do things. So you need to adapt it to your own playstyle and go, you know what, I'm going to stick with 10 Berserkers and Khan in a Rhino because that's something I'm more comfortable with. That's something I've got experience on. Right. Or you might, like, so for example, I was talking to Fraser Perry recently, and he was running 2 units of 10 Berserkers in 2 Rhinos, one with Mo and one with Khan.
I know.
And that list he was doing really really well with it. But for me, I couldn't bite the bullet and put that second unit of Berserkers in because it just didn't match my playstyle. I was like, you know what, I like to be able to have one Berserker Rhino parked right here. That's where it always goes, parked right in the middle. It threatens the center in my expansion, and then I want all of these other elements to run around and do all this other stuff. I don't want a second castle to go out and do this thing. So I didn't go in that direction. But that was a place, that wasn't me criticizing his list. That was me going, that doesn't fit my play style.
I mean, I could take your list to do as well with it because that's just not as might not be as comfortable with all the pieces. You know what I mean, you gave me Angron for this last tournament, and Anthony Vanilla might do great. He might stomp and kill everybody. I probably wouldn't. I'll be honest with you because it's like
because he will have an in-depth knowledge about the timing of Angron. When do you 100%. Send him out? Because you don't send him out turn 1, but you don't want to hold him until turn 4. So is it a turn 2 play? Is it a turn 3 play? How do you adapt that based on your opponent's approach? If your opponent's being aggressive, does that escalate your deployment of Angron, or do you do it? Like he will have had all of that figured out. Whereas somebody who doesn't have that. They throw a Lancer out into the middle, and it's like, are you going to just respond with Angron straight away, or are you going to wait? Like,
100%.
It's very hard. So there's no replacement for reps. There's no replacement. These conversations help, by all means, and the Art of War do great stuff, and the Red Path do great stuff. Like these are all great tools. Yeah. But the number one thing is just get the reps in, get on the table, play the games,
and just find what you're comfortable with, and then just try things too. I mean,
make mistakes, make as many mistakes as you can, because that's how you learn.
Right.
There's that old saying. I know it's quite cheesy, but there's that saying that winners aren't people who never fail; they're people who never quit. Right. Like, if you want to get good at the game, what you need to do is get really comfortable with losing, because as soon as you're comfortable losing, and you go, cool, well, now I can play practice games into top players and not be upset that I lost because I learned something. And then you play all those practice games and you lose, and then you beat them at the tournament, and now all of a sudden you have the tools to win, which sounds like exactly what you've done in this event.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Whereas if you hated losing so much you just didn't play the practice games, you wouldn't have got the reps into these guys, and you wouldn't have been able to do it. So.
Yeah, no, and 100%. And it's not that I had already resigned myself that I was going to lose, but I wasn't I also didn't have that false sense of confidence that I was just going to win, right? And I think that matters. You got to find your happy place, your balance like that, because at the end of the day too, it's it's still a game, right? And it's not worth tilting over. It's not worth ruining friendships over. It's not worth being at that sport. So it's you got to learn. You do have to learn so many good lessons that you learn from losing, learning how to lose gracefully, right? Because once you start to win more, right, it's you're also empathetic towards your opponent who just lost, right? It's never feels good to lose, but I mean at the same time it's we're not at the end of the day we're a community. I'm not here to just crush people and make them feel bad, right? It's I want people to come back to tournaments and have a positive experience, and that's what I try to have with people, right? It's I don't have many games where it's just not a great time or interaction, and it really depends on my opponent, but for the most part it's I know most of the guys in Boise, and it's every tournament I go to I usually make a new friend, you know what I mean? And that's I think that's just as important as going and winning or losing, right? Because at the end of the day it's more than likely you're not going to win the whole darn thing, right? We're not that good of players. We don't play that much. We don't get paid to do it for a living. So it's just enjoy it, get better at it, learn the losses, but treat it like you would anything else, and just be, this is an in-person sport. So just, be a cool person about it.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And I find that if you enjoy it, if you allow yourself to enjoy it and have fun with it and be a bit silly sometimes with it and not take it too seriously, as soon as you do that, you then find that you're enjoying the game more, which means you play more. You make friends that you otherwise might not have. If you were redlining and being angsty and too, super serious and super critical, you might not have made those friends. But You know,
Right.
if you're playing it a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more, sportsmanlike, and you're letting your opponent have
Right.
takebacks and all of this sort of stuff, well, then all
Yeah.
of a sudden you're making friends, and then those friends can teach you
Right.
things, and then you're working with them, and all of a sudden you grow and develop as a player.
100%.
Yeah, and then that
I agree.
feeds into the conversation we're having about the team stuff. You know, then all of a sudden you get invited on teams, and you start having people
Yep.
invest in you, and
Yep.
yeah, and I think
100%.
40K is a magical game in that regard.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
I hope that, like, obviously it doesn't, because it's at the top levels, it can get pretty sweaty, and there's the reputations that it's had in the past of, like, people being toxic or cheating. But, like, my time playing, it's been great, and I try to just be another person within the community that's, like, trying to keep it that
Yeah.
way. And so
Yeah,
as long as everybody, like, develops that mindset.
my experience has always been that the sweatiest games are actually the middle games, not the top.
Yeah.
People at the
Yes.
top are generally like very,
It's,
very good.
it's so much more loose, right?
Yeah.
Because it's almost like it's the 100th game of chess that you played against another chess
Exactly, and you're playing it, and you know exactly what they're doing, and you go like, they're like, yeah, I'm screening out my backfield. You don't have to go over there to
Right.
measure it. You're just like, yeah, that's fine, because I know
You're
you
just,
can.
yeah, you're just saying, like,
know.
this is what I was, you know what I'm
Yep.
doing, like,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Whereas it's those middle games that tend to be a little bit more angsty. I'll finish this on an
right.
anecdote.
And there's more gotchas, and there's, like,
Yeah,
more kind
yeah.
of.
I remember once I was setting up, I was a tournament organizer for Vic Masters, which is our state Masters event, which is like one of the most prestigious invite-only style events, right?
Yeah.
And I was at the game store and I was setting up, so I was getting the tables out, I was setting the train up. This is the Friday night before the event, and there was some blokes that came in and they wanted to use one of the tables to play a casual game, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, man. Like, I've got this one set up. And I was like, you can use that. And I'm like, it is set up for a tournament game, though. Feel free to change the train if you want, though. And they're like, oh, what tournament is it? I'm like, oh, it's Vic Masters. I was like, you guys should sign up. You should come down, because at that time, we had an open happening simultaneously. And one of the blokes looks at me and he's like, no, tournament players are all win at all cost cheaters and dickheads and this, that, and whatever. And I was like, okay, sure thing, mate. Like, I strongly disagree with that statement, but you're entitled to your opinion. Go play your game. I'll just continue setting up around you guys, and then when you're finished, I'll reset that table for the tournament. And then so I'm walking around, I'm setting up all these tables, and then I look across, and they're having an argument because this same bloke has tried to deploy his Land Raider on top of an L. So there was like an L-shaped rune. He's tried to deploy it on the top, and his opponent's like, "What are you doing? You can't put that up there."
Right.
And his opponent was like running, I can't remember what it was. It was a combat base. I think it was Blood Angels or something. And he was like, I can't charge it if it's up there, because this was back in like 5th or 6th edition, right? And his opponent's like, you can't put that up there. I can't charge it. And he's like, this guy that had to go at me for being a win at all costs tournament player, he's like, no, the rules say that it can't end a move up there, but I'm not ending a move. I'm deploying it up there. And I was just like, oh, really? Like, tournament players are the problem, are they, mate? I'm very glad you're not coming to my tournament this weekend.
Those guys are the best. You're just like, bless your heart.
But yeah, I think that there's a sizable community of people that don't go to tournaments because they're not particularly welcome at tournaments, because they do shit like that. And then as a result, they blame the tournament.
Yeah. I think we've done a good job, though, at like filtering those people out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I will give us credit there.
So yeah, if anybody's listening to this that hasn't gone to tournaments and is just kind of interested in the general musings of tournament players, go to tournaments. Trust me, they're amazing. And most tournaments have done an amazing job of filtering out those problematic people. And the top players at tournaments are all super lovely. Yes. And you might get the occasional sweaty game. That's fine. 100%. That will happen. But the majority of the time,
you always maybe get one. But for the most part, like 90% of your games are going to be great. And even if you're like a new player and you get the brakes beat off of you, it's like you and I. It's like we went through that, right?
Yeah,
like,
everyone went through it. There's very few people that started out as GT winners.
Yeah,
like
you have to have the mindset like, I'm going to just go, and like I'm not concerned about so much winning as just learning from my losses, right? Like a good player will lose and think about what it is I did wrong, like how could I do better, go back to my list, whatever it is, and that's how you get better at the game. And it's like, and that's okay. It's okay to go to a tournament. Like, I think my first GT, I think I won one game, and I was so stoked because I was like, I still didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? And it was just like,
Yeah.
you know, and every game that I played and lost, it was just like, it's okay. Like, it's like this, obviously these people are like much better, but I learned. I mean, every game I played, I'm like, oh, okay, like this is probably a better way to do X, Y, Z, you know? And that's just, it's just how you improve, and you have to go through it. And it's awesome. It's still an awesome experience. You still get to go and play 40K for 5 games.
Exactly. And if you can find a way to enjoy that experience of
Yeah.
losing games and learning, that's the key to success.
Yeah.
Is finding a way to enjoy that process. Because
Don't
it can be a painful process. It's just like going to the gym. It's a painful process.
Sure.
Like, I mean, I obviously don't know what it's like to go to the gym, but I can assume that it's a tiring and physical challenging process. But it's
Yeah.
from all accounts, it's quite a rewarding process when
It's-
you walk out the other end and you don't look like a nerdling.
Yeah, well, it's a muscle, just like, I mean,
Yeah.
per your analogy, it's just like everything else. It's like you have to work on the muscle. And I think, you know, part of that muscle obviously is like just, it's the winning and the losing part. It's like,
Yeah.
you can't, like,
It's the emotional component.
don't ever I think the best advice I give to a new player is like, don't ever just expect to win. And even when you do start winning, don't treat that like it's like everything, and losing is like the worst thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just because you still have so much more to learn. And it's like, you know, the game changes all the time, and you may not have the best army, and it's like you only have XYZ models to bring. So it's like you're never gonna always be the most optimal you're ever gonna be at 40K, right? It's like, at the end of the day, this is still like, you know, a space Barbie that we have to paint, you know, and buy and spend hundreds of dollars on, and you know what I mean. So it's like, just have fun with it, you know. And it's cool to learn the game, and it's cool to like to start getting wins, like when things start to click. That's a great feeling, but like, you still just have to enjoy it. And it's like, and the losses will still come. Like, it's,
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? It's like, I'm gonna go to the next GT, and I'm probably not gonna like win, right? Like, I'm still gonna
and the higher you get, the degree in which you lose doesn't really change, because, like, for
Right.
example, we've got players. I'm literally about to head off to the boot camp for
Yeah.
Team Australia,
Yeah.
where I'm surrounded by the best players in the country, but
Yeah.
they're all playing against each other in the boot camp. Half of them are going to lose. Right?
Right.
And they're the best players in the country. And then they're going to
Exactly.
fly to fucking Europe, and they're going to be playing against the best players of every other country, and they're probably going to lose a bunch of those games too.
So it's like, some more, right? Yeah.
So it's like, even if you get to the point where you're the best player in the country, you're still going to lose a ton of games. So just get comfortable with it, get familiar with the concept of losing, because it's not a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
100%.
If you're the best player in the area, you're still going to go to a like tournament somewhere else, and you're going to go against John Lennon. What, you're probably going to lose.
Yep.
And it's okay.
And guess what? Everybody's dice have ones on them. Like, it's,
Yes.
you know, I mean, I guess technically not everyone. I'm not sure if you heard about that recent scandal where there's a guy that had sixes on both sides.
I saw Trevi's video on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's obviously that's the thing, but yeah, generally speaking, you know, the dice betray us all, and
Sure.
yeah, just
almost every game.
Yeah.
It happens to me. I never go, I'm winning this game, because the dice said, usually I go, no, you're not.
I will admit that my most recent game that I played, I definitely won it because of my dice rolls. Like, I had Khan go into Mortarian, and I rolled to hit, and I rolled out of his 9 attacks, I rolled 7 sixes.
Oh god!
And I had sustained and lethal active, and my
and
opponent was just like, "What the fuck was that?" And I'm like, "That's a photo. That's a photo opportunity, is what that is."
Right.
Like, that was fucking devastating.
He's getting the salt water, and he's just dropping your dice in it. And you're like, come on, keep with the other dice that you have.
I gave him those 7 dice. I was like, you know what? This is my gift to you. You can have these dice, like, because they're like, I've got so many dice sitting at home, but these ones, you know,
right? Yeah.
no one's gonna suspect that you've got loaded dice if you give the dice to them as a gift,
that's
right?
actually not a bad strategy.
So it's just like, look, to demonstrate to you how accurate they are, they're yours. And the funny thing is he then rolled them for his saves. Like, I gave him those, and then he rolled it and rolled like nothing but 1s and 2s. And I was like,
you're rolling corn dice. Right?
Yeah. Anyway, man, thanks again for your time. I really do appreciate it. I know this probably went a little longer than you were expecting, so I appreciate you sticking around for the chat. Ton of fun,
it's always
as
awesome
always.
To come on and talk to you. And I'm excited to see you guys go to WTC and kick ass. So
Hell yeah, thanks, mate.
From Team America, but you know, it's you're on Team Australia, and I'm rooting for you guys too. So
Yeah,
go out
hell
there
yeah,
and pick
awesome, man.
Awesome.
All right, well, we'll keep in touch, and yeah, I'll
Yeah.
see you around, mate.
All right, cheers.
All right,
See you,
cheers.
Dean.
That's it. Guys, if you enjoyed that conversation, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, head over to our Patreon where you can get access to our Discord community. There's tons of really cool stuff there. And also jump over to blogforthebloodgod.com where you can show your support for this channel by picking up some swag. We've got t-shirts like this, we've got neoprene objective markers, games mats, we've got dice, we've got terrain sets, we've got 3D printed minis, we've got all kinds of really cool stuff over on that website, so check that out. And as always, a huge thank you to all of those who show their support for this channel. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.